Hello and welcome to another episode of Punch Drunk Nerd. We are back, all three of us, these three friends, these three caballeros, these three dudes. We are nerds and we're going to talk about nerd shit. What kind of nerd shit? Well, let me tell you, we're going to talk about the news of the week, things that make us go, that's interesting. And then we're going to talk about our top 10 MCU films. Now, we've already did an episode where we listed out our top 10, but we're going to do a little recap, talk about some audience reactions. Some people liked it, some people didn't, so we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to lead right into the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness discussion. And then to wrap it all up in a tiny little bow, we're going to do what we're into, stuff that we've been watching, stuff that we've been listening to, stuff that we've been reading. If we're readers, I don't know. But anyway, my name is Luis Gonzalez, and with me is...
Miguel Sanchez.
And Ed Bull.
That's right. We are those three dudes. Now, we're going to get straight to it right away. If you went to go see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, you did see a couple trailers, all right? If you went to the AMC, it's 20 minutes of trailers. I promise you that because I have looked at the time. Yep. So if you're running late at the AMC theaters, know that you've got 20 minutes until the movie starts. Anyway, one of those trailers that came out, no, we're not talking about Thor. We're talking about Avatar, all right? Now, it was first premiered in the theaters, and then it had a later digital release online through YouTube and all that stuff. But I watched it. I'm probably still won't watch it, but what do you guys think? Miguel, I know.
So,
I know your thoughts.
Yeah. So, yeah, Kristen and I, we're fans. I'm gonna just go ahead and commit. I've had 2 whiskeys now. We're fans of Avatar.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, is it a perfect movie? No. But it's like a fun time. And what I was saying earlier is, Kristen and I, we went to Disney World for our honeymoon.
Right.
And the Pandora World or whatever they call it. I think it was just called Pandora. Was actually a ton of fun. It was like you're walking around and you're like, oh shit, yeah, I'm in Avatar. So I don't know. Am I like super excited for like 4 more movies? Probably not.
Yeah.
But I may actually see this one.
Fair enough.
Ed,
this is your turn in the podcast.
The trailer looked gorgeous, of course, and that was never really in question. It's just, it's just gonna be so depressing when this movie makes so much money.
Wow. We're hyped for this movie.
We're hyped already. No, you know what I am hyped about? I really do want to go. The only thing that's selling me on Avatar is actually going to Disney World and going to that Pandora thing. That's the only thing.
It's actually super fun. The rides and stuff that they have, like you like fly on one of those things at one point. I feel like I've said all this before in the podcast, but you fly on one of those. Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, you get it. You fly.
No, but continue.
No, you fly.
Continue.
It's like a 3D ride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. And it's like remember at the arcade when you were a kid at like CC's and you sit on the motorcycle. It's kind of like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then it moves you and this and that. It's actually a lot of fun. If you've ever done like Soarin' at Epcot, it's kind of similar in the sense that like the screen is really close to you, so you feel like you're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time. The only thing I'm sorry, one other thought about this trailer was I feel like from the first movie to this movie, it's been like 10 plus years or something.
Yeah.
Did they change the animation a little bit? I feel like their faces are like a little leaner.
It looks a little bit more enhanced and like almost as if like they are like duplicating the actual actor. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it's like the closing shot of that trailer. I might be wrong. Clearly, Jake Sully and her other, the Zoe Saldana character,
Blue Gamora.
Gamora. They like their kids are going to be the central focus. Maybe
I don't understand that. So there was 2 kids. One of them looked like a human, and one looked like an avatar. Right, or whatever whatever.
I guess we're gonna.
I don't know. Me no know. It's gonna get blue.
Well, good thing the internet's gonna tell me everything and spoil everything for me. I'm gonna be on the spoiler chains for sure in that movie because I'm gonna look at the leaks. I'm gonna be on that one for sure.
Yes, I'm usually all about spoilers because I don't give a fuck most of the time. So I'm totally with you, Luis. Like when you want to like hate watch something, but you want to like hate spoil something, I'm with you on that.
Well, we vote with our dollars, and I'm just not going to vote with my dollars on this one. Like, I don't want to. I'm not going to. But I understand you guys like it, so you go watch it. But I'm just going to wait.
How about this? I'll go see it, and I'll let you know. Okay.
Let me know. Yeah.
And when it comes to streaming or whatever, what I mean?
I'll watch on my projector. It looks beautiful. Of course, the visual effects look great, but it's just, I don't know. There's nothing driving me
nothing
to
driving.
go back to this world. So
sequels, and I mean, there's been a few examples. You know what I mean? Just like sequels that come out 10 plus years later, or you know what I mean, or like where they missed the mark, the window of having a sequel.
Exactly.
And then it just kind of feels like, oh, we're here again. You know?
Yeah.
So hopefully it's good. I mean, I can't imagine that it's that bad, you know what I mean? Because they've greenlit 4 movies. You know what I mean?
I mean, if
and
anything, I hope that the
them.
story gets like that the
Better.
script is a little bit better. You know what I mean? I hope.
But I feel like
that was a huge complaint that I think if they're able to put that into the script, then hey, you might make a fan out of me. But it was yeah.
Well, I also feel like James Cameron's just putting a lot of his own financial backing towards this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's obviously been working on it for the last 10 years. I think it's really at his leisure that these movies are being made. Whether we ever get to see 4 movies remains because the guy has aged 10 years since the last movie.
Aren't they filming these like back to back though? Or am I wrong about that?
Possibly, I don't know.
But also look at Ridley Scott. That man is pumping out movies, and he is not a young gentleman. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, at the same time, James Cameron is developing all of his technology. Like Ridley Scott can do that shit in his sleep, and sometimes it feels like he does. But action. But James Cameron, obviously, this is a passion project. But yeah, I mean, it does kind of feel like he's retired and he's just working on his favorite hobby right now, which is just like, yeah, I'm just going to make this really fucking gorgeous film. And,
it could also be kind of like Ed's experience with Avengers. You know what I mean? He wasn't excited about Avengers when it came out or when they were planning for Avengers. We were talking about that last week. This might be one of those things where, the world is like kind of skeptical because of the last one. Yeah. What if it ends up being the most amazing shit ever? What if we're like, what if in like 30 years we're like, oh, fucking Avatar?
We're like 3? Big, huge Avatar fans.
Avatar. Yeah, dude.
He is.
I'm like an adult with a family. We're all like the blue people. We're like running around. Like, I love Avatar.
Every Halloween, you're like, get the fucking Na'vi costume out. All right.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I hope it is good for all of our sakes.
I hope it is.
And then if it's bad, maybe that'll just seal its fate.
It'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
We shall see. On this next, we're going to move on to the next topic here, which is kind of dear to our hearts. We are all Batman fans here in Punch Drunk Nerd. And I wanted to talk about the new video game Gotham Knights that's coming out October 25th, where you play as, Batman's, like, as the Bat family. You play as Batgirl, Nightwing, Robin, Red Hood, and there just came out news that this game will only be for new gen only, next gen consoles only. And that's the first, this is the first time I'm hearing of like a game of this caliber making that big of a move, because I haven't made the move to get a PS5 or an Xbox Series X because I can get all these games on my PS4 or Xbox One. Like, it's fine. But now this is really pushing me to go having to get a new console, and they're so difficult to get already. And like, Miguel, I haven't told this with you. I haven't talked to you about this yet, but I want to play this game with you because it's co-op.
It's co-op, dude.
It's co-op, dude.
Oh, bro, I didn't even think about that.
If you've seen the gameplay, we can jump on to missions together, and you get the left, I get the right. We can cover it up, and we can like push through the campaign together. Which I don't know. It got me excited, and seeing all the different abilities that they have.
Okay. I'm not normally like a co-op player, like especially with like Batman games, because they tend to be so like solo, one player focused. But you just hyped me up for this now. Like, now I'm thinking about actually getting it and playing it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big like extended Batman family universe kind of guy.
Same. Absolutely.
I respected that there. I think when I was a kid, I really enjoyed like the Robin and Batgirl angle, just because it was like, as a kid, you're like, oh, what if I could fight alongside Batman? That's so cool. But then it's just like, when I think about the video game specifically, I mean, the Arkham games are so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether you have qualms with some of them or not, I mean, they're all pretty solid products.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've just never been super excited to play as all these other Bat family characters, but I'll give it a go for you, baby bird. All right,
dude. Thank you, Big Bird. Now listen, I wasn't even ready to play this when I heard Gotham Knights. I was like, oh, because then there's also they're doing Suicide, Kill the Justice League. They're doing
which I'm actually a little
games.
more excited about.
Right, because it's actually in the same universe as the Arkhamverse or whatever. So if you played the Arkham games, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League is in that universe. But this game, I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm not into the Bat family. I really like solo Batman stories with just the Batman. And I don't know, recently when I saw all the co-op options and the way you play, I was like, okay, this might be a gateway drug for me to get to know more about the Bat family. And, I like kind of the mechanics of what's happening here. And if I can play with a friend, it makes it a little bit better. And it gets to build off a little bit of the Batman lore, something that I'm not dying to get into. And this is kind of okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a try. I understand the Bat family is a big arc for Batman. It kind of gives him a human, allows him to be more human, to be a fatherly figure, to be kind of outside of him. I get that. I understand that. But that's just not the Batman that I know or grew up with. And so, yeah.
My hang up on the Bat family in general, and mind you, I don't really read the comics, so I know every one of these Bat family characters has had some sort of setup and storyline and this and that. But to me, I'm just when does it end? You know what I mean? Okay, so we have these 4 characters, and then who after one of them dies? You know what I mean? Who's going to be the next Bat family? And then it's just this person, this person, this person, this person. And I think at Batman at one point in the comics, he creates a whole web of Batman across the world, so that he's not the only Batman. You know what I mean? I think it's called Batman Incorporated or whatever. But I'm just like you, and I'm about to just repeat all the shit. But yeah, I'm much more of a Batman. I just want to be Batman.
Yeah. And if people are listening, you're a fucking idiot.
I
love Nightwing. I love Red Hood.
I know.
Please, you know what? Hit us up at Punch Drunk Nerd. Tell us the comics to read, and I would tell you I will read them. Okay, you tell me what's a good run of one of these comics, and I'll dive in. And you know what? Maybe I'll grow a little heart for them. I'll grow some love to them. So, Ed, I don't know if you have anything to say about Gotham Knights. I'm guessing no.
Have you even seen a trailer for it, Ed?
No, I can't say I have. But the idea of co-play sounds great. That for that universe with the Batman games that I've played, that could be a lot of fun. So I will buy a PS5.
Okay, it's not that easy, but you make it sound so easy.
I will say it is on your comment about being the first truly next gen game.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid move. Of course, some of these early releases, you want to be able to have that flexibility. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not everyone has a PS5 or an Xbox. I almost called it an Xbox 2. Whatever it's called. So I kind of liked that aspect, but it's nice that it's okay, we are committing to this console. This generation, excuse me. And, we are making games for this. I mean, they just released that demo of the Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys seen that. Oh, we don't have to talk about it, but it's just whatever these new mechanics are going to be, it'd be nice if these studios were focusing on that, as opposed to being I really need to make it accessible for all of these older players.
I think it's just hard because
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. It's just hard because the consoles aren't as easily available, and so it makes it difficult for people to make this move. But yeah, so I'm just gonna have to walk some dark alleys, and
I'm curious if any of our listeners have a next gen console, and if it was super difficult to get, or if it just happened to fall into their lap.
Hey, if you got tips on how to get it, hit us up again at Punch Drunk Nerd. We are on that everywhere. Except Patreon, we're still working on that, right?
We're still working on it. If you guys want to just Venmo us some money, we'll get a Venmo going.
Yeah. Okay, so, moving on up, we're going to talk about Ahsoka, all right? They started filming Ahsoka. No real big news there, just to say that it's happening. It's going to be set during the Mandalorian timeline, and they say that the events will culminate in a climactic story event alongside the Mandalorian. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see Ed shaking his head about this news. So, Ed, why are you shaking your head about Ahsoka?
I just do not care about the Mandalorian. So, if they have as much faith,
what about Grogu?
If they have as much faith about this show as they did with Boba Fett, then I can imagine there's going to be a Mandalorian-focused episode right smack dab in the middle for no fucking
That was
reason
wild,
other than
wasn't
to
it?
bring
There was two
Mandalorian
of them.
in.
There was
but
two
think about-
Mandalorian episodes.
Think about like Tony Stark. Think about Robert Downey Jr. I mean, you know what I mean? Like they put him in as many movies as they possibly could because he was, you know what I mean, the center point of the MCU. That's what the Mandalorian is for the Star Wars shows, right? He was like the anchor point. You're gonna see him.
I think that's a very generous comparison, Miguel. But
you know what? I'm not watching
I
it.
understand.
You know what I mean? But I'm just making like a.
This is one of those shows that I'm definitely hate watching at this point.
I love it. I love it.
Same with the Boba Fett stuff. Man, you know, I'm very looking forward to Obi-Wan. I'm new to the whole Ahsoka Tano. I loved her in Clone Wars. Like her arc throughout that show is incredible. So I just hope the show does that justice, you know, and yeah, it's hard for me to get pumped with anything that lands in the same time frame as fucking Mandalorian. So, it's hard. Yeah. So
Ed,
we'll
just
see.
real quick before we move on.
Yeah.
Say like one nice thing about the Mandalorian.
Oh.
I like its earnestness.
That's good.
That's good. That's good.
If that doesn't sound passive aggressive at all, it just a good thing about the Mandalorian.
I think there's a good couple like handfuls of episodes from the Mandalorian. I think some of them are like you got to get this, you got to go do this and this and this and this, and then you'll get the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of like mission based like storylines that happen, but you know I think there's a couple great episodes, especially like I like Pedro Pascal and I like Grogu and I like their relationship and how you know it's pretty heartwarming, and I like that. Book of Boba Fett, not so much, but you know,
yeah,
I like the Mandalorian for that heart that it has, that it delivers. Even though like story wise, it can get a little, you know, up and down, but I like the heart it has.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Now we're going to talk about now that was a story that happened a long time ago in a galaxy far away. I'm going to talk about something that happened a long time ago on this galaxy. Dinosaurs.
What?
So there's a new TV show called Prehistoric Planet on Apple TV that's coming out. I saw this today on my drive to work. I saw a poster and I looked at it and I was like, damn, that looks interesting and I want to see it. I saw some trailers and basically, you know, David Attenborough, who does Planet Earth, and, you know, BBC also did that Planet Earth. They're basically doing kind of a Planet Earth-esque thing, but with dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs, that's cool.
And they're using the company that made Lion King and Jungle Book to do all like the photorealistic models of dinosaurs. So it's executive produced by Jon Favreau, with composing music by Hans Zimmer. And it's just kind of taking all the like kind of new knowledge that we have of dinosaurs and incorporating it into a series and covering like different geographical points of the earth, you know, like, so you have the forest dinosaurs, you have the coastal dinosaurs. And I think we've all grown up with the lizards looking a certain way. And I think there's been so much that's been uncovered, especially like now that we know that they're kind of more in the bird family and they've had feathers, and there's just like different shapes and different characteristics that I haven't seen, I don't know, talked about in a while. Like we have Jurassic World, but that's not really like accurate to dinosaurs. And so I think, you know, I like Planet Earth. I like their approach to stuff. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see an updated version of how like dinosaurs are perceived by paleontologists. And I mean, it's coming out May 23rd to May 27th. It's a 5-day event, and it's covering the late Cretaceous period, which is 66 million years ago. And it's been in development for about a decade. So
wow.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see just
awesome.
an update on dinosaurs.
It sounds a lot like did you guys grow up with that? I want to say it was like very early, like at the beginning of the 2000s. I want to say the BBC had a show called Walking with Dinosaurs.
Whoa, bro, you just took me back.
Yeah, like that sounds a lot like that. That was just kind of like I mean, for then, it was like a photorealistic documentary, you know, just watching these dinosaurs live. And then you had someone like David Attenborough, who I maybe thought was David Attenborough at the time, talking about it. So
Yeah, it's definitely like a spiritual sequel to that, where it's kind of like an updated
That's awesome.
version. Yeah.
I'm here for it.
We should do I'm just like spitballing. My brain is on fire right now. We should do a dinosaurs episode, right? Where we talk about like all the dinosaur media we've consumed, not just Jurassic Park or whatever.
In movies?
Like, yeah, we can make that work. Like, again, I can't believe I'm shilling so hard for Disney right now. Like, oh my God. But Disney, one of my favorite rides when we were there was the dinosaur movie ride. You know, you remember that movie with oh shit!
Where the poster was like, an eye of a dinosaur as the craters are coming down.
Yes, I'm talking about from our childhood. Yeah, it's called Dinosaur. That ride was amazing. You know what I mean? No, and my kid loves dinosaurs. He would love that episode.
I tried to put that movie on for Lily, and it scared her.
Well, it's a tough one. I told you guys that I let Forrest watch Thor Ragnarok with me this week, and the beginning is like that dragon thing in Surtur's world or whatever, and he kept being like, first off, he kept covering his ears. He was very scared. And then he just kept being like, the dinosaur. And I was like, it's cool. It's chill, bro. Yeah. And like when its head gets cut off, I kind of covered his eyes so he didn't see that bit. So he didn't realize it was gone.
And his eyes like roll back and then the tongue comes down. Yeah.
But like throughout the movie as we were watching it, he was like, okay, so and I was like, Hulk's coming. He was like, okay, so Hulk's going to fight the dinosaur? And I was like, no, the dinosaur is gone.
Whoa. Time out. You spoiled the boy that the Hulk is coming?
Bro, listen, here's the deal. He does not have the patience. He does not...
All right, son. So this is Iron Man. He's gonna die. Don't get too attached to him.
Yeah, no. I mean, we're that's our family. You know what I mean? We spoil movies in this bitch. Okay. I don't give a fuck. Pardon my language to Sean's parents. I don't mean to curse that hard, but
oh yeah, I'm sorry. Sean's parents.
But no, I'm excited for this. I'm definitely way more excited than I am for this new Jurassic World movie, and I will just kind of like I told Ed last week, I'm not going to talk about The Dark Knight Rises anymore after we do our episode on it.
Yeah.
I think after this Jurassic Park movie comes out, I'm not going to talk about Jurassic Park anymore. I'm over it.
Done.
Moving on to Google. So Google had an update today. Just real quick things. They're coming out with a Pixel Watch. It's very round, and it's actually, I didn't know about this, but Google did a $40 million purchase of Fossil smartwatch tech, and then $2.1 billion in Fitbit acquisition. So they're using all of this technology to put into their Pixel Watch. It's a big bet. We'll see how that goes. Pixel Buds, they're noise canceling. They're $199 compared to Apple's $249. They're noise canceling. Google Glass, it's like a next version of Google Glass. I know there was a prototype that came out around like 2014 or something like that. And so they're doing that. It's going to have accessibility options. So if there's any language barriers, so if you're talking to, like for me, my Spanish isn't that great, and I have a lot of family members who speak Spanish. So theoretically, we could put on Google Glasses. I could speak English, they could speak Spanish, and we could understand each other because it'll create like little subtitle text on the lenses. And so it could be a way of connecting with people who you don't have, there's a language barrier. You can connect with them. So that's pretty cool. And then Google Assistant, they are updating it to make it more natural communication. So instead of saying, hey, Siri, you could be like, okay, Google, we're, Jesus, fucking movie theater, Dark Knight, when is it playing? And so it'll be able to detect your question and then give you an answer. And I think there's another feature called Look and Talk, which basically, like, instead of saying, hey, Google, you could just, like, look at your phone and then ask it a question, and then it'll, like, respond back. I always have an issue with, Apple products, because I feel like I have to rush to quickly say what I need before Siri's like, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. And I have, like, a panic attack. So I'd be like, hey, Siri, what time is it? What time is it? Like, or, hey, what's the weather? I'm sorry, I didn't get that. And so, you cannot stutter or flub with Siri, but anyway, that's a Google update. I thought that's cool. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Ed, I know you're, we're all Apple ecosystem folks. You know what I mean? We all have iPhones. But I know Luis had a Pixel for a while, right?
I did. I had a Pixel, and I thought the photos on there were fantastic. And
I had a Pixel for a short period of time as well, and I totally agree. The camera was solid. Speaking about the Google Assistant, even back then, I always thought Google Assistant was way more responsive than Siri. I later got an Alexa. Alexa's okay, but for my experience, I always thought Google Assistant was top notch.
Yeah.
And Ed, you know what? If we blow up, we get a little extra money. You should get a second phone. If you do, it should be an Android. Okay. And it should be a Pixel. Now you see, that's why I don't have a Pixel anymore. If you're watching on YouTube, the face Ed just made when I said get an Android.
Well,
and Luis, you're probably the same way. That green bubble shit is like racism.
Shit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
have you? But is it like? Sorry to clarify. Are you telling me I need to get not only a new iPhone but also an Android?
Thank you, Ed. Thank you for keeping up.
That's excessive. That was my face.
Bro,
it's excessive.
You know what I mean? Kevin Gates taught us that you have to have two phones. You know what I mean? I don't know who that is. One for the plug. You know what I mean? And one for the... I don't know what the second one's for, but...
Oh, are you talking about that song?
Yeah.
One for the plug and one for the... Like, that's...
Yeah, dude, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
you gotta have two phones. Ed, just real quick, what's a plug?
Something you pop into a wall.
That's right. Okay. Family
and with that, we are going to talk about... What's that? Oh, shout out? What?
Right?
You making a shout out?
Is a shout out? It could be a shout out.
Oh, it could be a shout out.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, hey, I'm going to make a plug right here.
You got any plugs, Ed? You got any comedy shows coming up this week?
No, not right now. Working on it. I got a Netflix special.
I'll tell you what, we ain't got no plugs, but we can plug our MCU top 10. We did a top 10 recap. I mean, we did a top 10 list. We all gave our top 10, and then Ed took our top 10 and put it in a little machine, and he spat it out and created our own Punch Drunk Nerd official top 10. Ed, do you want to give us, the listeners, our top 10?
Yes, of course. Okay, so starting off with number 1, we have the Avengers Infinity War, followed by Avengers Endgame, then Captain America Civil War, Thor Ragnarok, Avengers, the original, Winter Soldier, Iron Man, Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man Homecoming, and rounding it off with Black Panther at number 10.
Very nice. And, we put that out there on the internet. People had things to say. And what did people have to say, Ed?
That we're idiots, basically.
We're idiots.
It was the algorithm, man. You know what I mean?
It, yeah, I mean, I had somebody complaining that Ant-Man wasn't on there, so you can take that as seriously as you want. Shout out to Haley West, by the way.
Shout out to Haley.
Giving me some grief about that. But she's also one of those people who doesn't care for Endgame. So, we discussed that a little bit. I think there is like a little crowd out there that
I know. That's what I've discovered,
Josh Brown.
I was just about to say Josh. Shout out Joshua Brown.
Yeah. He does not, and he loves Marvel, just not Endgame so much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm heartbroken. I'm probably gonna cry tonight. It is my number 1 movie. No, I just like I like the direction of it. I like the performances of it. I like what's it called? The way it deals with depression and the way that people cope with depression. Obviously there's the time story that happens, but I don't think that's the full point of the story. But whatever. We all have our own things that why we like these movies. You know what I mean? I think all these movies hit a certain core that really touch us. And, some people like Ant-Man, some people like Black Panther, some people like my brother, he likes First Avenger. That wasn't on our list, but it was on his top 10.
And we got a shout out about that from Benji, right?
Benji, yeah. Benji gave a shout out about...
Yeah, it was Benji Cooksey. He was into Captain America First Avenger. Made me go, maybe I should rewatch it.
I know when my brother made that comment, I was like, well, I guess I should rewatch it too. It's got the King Tommy Lee Jones in it. You know what I mean? So,
my sister, via her cat's Instagram, thought that Black Panther should be number 1.
But
so that wasn't your sister. That was Margot the cat saying that.
Margot the cat, yes,
right.
Would like Black Panther.
Meow 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 meow. That's Black Panther and cat.
For anybody,
but I also question how many movies she's actually seen. So, but yeah, and then I got a lot of grief for putting Eternals on my.
I don't think it's
5.
grief. I mean, maybe Mike Lindauer was giving you a
No,
little bit of
I
grief.
definitely got some grief at work from Mike and Bryce, but yeah, you know.
But you know what I've learned from you, Ed, is that you really like historical influences.
I
You
do.
know what I mean? Like you always talk
And-
about Napoleon, you talk about Alexander the Great, you talk
Mhm.
about what else did you
And
talk
the-
about?
Eternals
Moon Knight.
deals with Babylon.
Exactly. Eternals
Yeah.
deal with all those themes that you personally like, and somehow it fulfills you. You know what I mean? And that's kind of cool.
I was fulfilled twice
Oh God.
because that's how many times I've seen the movie. But yeah,
we definitely had some engagement on the Guardians of the Galaxy. It does seem that
that was another one. Yeah,
most people. I will say this, Ed. You were very gracious. You went and did a rewatch of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
I did.
Off of my recommendation. I think thank you for doing that. You know, but even you, I feel like most people kind of all landed in the same spot. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 tends to be the favorite,
Popular one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I respect that. I'm all for it. For me personally, it was like a personal choice for me.
The second one, they're kind of just like cutting loose a lot more, and there's a lot of just like, I don't know, it's more focused on jokes than
There are a lot of like
driving
funny
story.
bits. There are funny
Yeah.
bits throughout it. You know what I mean? Like Groot trying to get the Mohawk. Like that's like a funny bit. Where they're trying to like go through space and like go through, like that's a funny bit. Like they're tied like these loose bits throughout the movie that are really great. Like the beginning
Drax
is like a
talking
really
about his nipples,
Right.
and calling Mantis ugly, like that's an accurate way to put it. It's just it's a lot of bits.
Yeah. Well, I am looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 as it's like the final one, which just finished filming.
And I wouldn't say it's like, I wouldn't dog
Far
on
from the
Volume 2.
worst movie of
No,
the
I
Not
mean
at all.
there
Not
are
at all.
20. There are like over
Not at all.
like 20 movies out there. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it's like
Yeah.
these
I
aren't.
do want to rank our lowest one, so we definitely need to
Yeah.
come back to that one.
The bottom.
Yeah, we had a
5.
great suggestion
the
about
bottom
doing
5.
our bottom 5 of the Marvel films. That sounds like a fun idea. So we might.
That's coming up.
That's coming up at some point. So stay tuned.
Yeah, you really want to upset people? Let's really trash on their favorite movies.
Oh my god. Oh.
The
I feel
engagement.
Yeah, the engagement. Ooh. The
I feel like I
controversy.
might. All right, ladies and gentlemen, look, you waited a whole week. We've waited a whole week. This is our 1 week later review of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We needed to stew on it. We needed to sit in it, and we are ready to talk about it. Now, guys, who wants to go first and talk about Doctor Strange?
Miguel.
I have a lot to say. I mean, I could have like
Oh.
20 minutes to talk about it, but I don't want to go first. Or who wants to go first?
No, I need somebody else to lead. Miguel, you've been ready to go.
Okay,
Come on.
it's me. It seems like I always go first. I feel like I'm always talking. So I saw it just a couple days ago before the podcast. I saw it with our friend Sean, who made me promise not to like share his opinions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without crediting him. You know what I mean? These are not my opinions. If I talk about him, it's Sean's.
Does he watch? Does he listen to our podcast?
He very graciously listened to the first 10 minutes of our last podcast. So shout out to Sean. All right.
Hey, you know what? According to the algorithm, we got those
Bro,
views.
that's it.
So thank you.
That's
Yeah.
it, baby. That's what I'm talking about. If you guys could give us just 10 minutes of your time, baby, like and subscribe, baby. Okay. So, no. So yeah, I saw it with Sean, but I'll talk about my opinions. So first off, just to talk about what we mentioned earlier in the beginning of the podcast, so many trailers. I couldn't believe how many trailers that I was sitting there. I was at AMC, so it was just like every time. And then they ended on the Thor one, or at least I thought they were ending on the Thor one. I said, perfect, we're going into a Marvel movie. And then they were like, hey, one more trailer. And then of course it was Avatar. And I was like, oh Christ, okay, please wrap this up. But the overall movie experience for me, if I could just give it a quick rating overall to get just a quick opinion, I would say like 90% of this movie was awesome. I really enjoyed it. I thought it really worked a lot of the time. For me, my biggest issue came from the third act. So when the big climax of it all was coming together, there was just some dialogue choices that I wouldn't have gone with. I also have some questions about Zombie Strange, which I'm going to wait and hold off on until we all get there. But overall, I want to say this. if Marvel movie, and this is, I've been kind of having this opinion for a while, and I feel like Marvel does a really good job with each of these movies kind of solidifying this opinion. Marvel is nailing these movies where other characters come in, not all of them, you know what I mean? But like having like Doctor Strange and Wanda paired up for this movie was such a solid choice. When you think about Wanda Maximoff and obviously what happens in this movie, but just in general what's happened before with her, there's not a lot of people that can go toe to toe with her. If anyone could hold their own, it's Doctor Strange, because he's got kind of a similar power set or whatever.
Yeah.
And not only that, you get to see two characters interact that don't really interact very often. I thought it was a great choice to have him come to her for help, and then the reveal that that might not happen. And overall, I think the storyline from WandaVision was touched on just enough for us, if you had never seen WandaVision, to understand her grief.
Right.
But I thought the way they brought that into this movie, and then just thinking about from like her first entrance into the MCU till this movie, I think Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, is one of the most engaging characters for me as an audience member. I just absolutely love what she's doing. Elizabeth Olsen can do no wrong. I will simp for her right now.
Absolutely.
And I also really loved the America Chavez character. I came into this not thinking I was going to like her. I thought, here we go. It's a new character, and then she's going to be real hammy or something, and just like really try to like, they're going to really try to force her character onto us. But no, I thought it was a very organic story. I thought the actress whose name I won't even try to pronounce, I thought she did a phenomenal. Can anyone do that?
What?
Say her name. It's like it starts with an X.
Xochitl Gomez, I think. Xochitl Gomez?
Solid, Louis. Thank you so much. She did a really fantastic job as America Chavez. I liked her background. I liked her powers. I liked how she fit into the narrative. Yeah, like I said, and I won't overtalk it, but I would give it about a 90% of it was a solid, you know what I mean? Grade A for me. I had a good time.
Yeah. Ed, do you want to take it away? I'm going to have a lot to talk about, so.
Okay. Yeah, one of the first things I felt coming out of this movie is that I wanted to watch it again, for sure.
Yeah.
I guess one of my biggest issues coming out of it, though, is like I feel like we didn't get very far in the story of Doctor Strange.
Yes.
And more so Wanda, which isn't a bad thing at all. But, you know, you go into a Doctor Strange movie, you definitely have some expectations.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with the fact that they shared that screen time together, but like I said, coming out of it, I was just like, okay, well, really, all Doctor Strange got out of that was he, you know, went from always having to have his finger on the knife, whatever metaphor they used throughout the movie, to letting go and let America Chavez do her thing and stuff like that. It just overall didn't feel too much of a Doctor Strange centric film. And I'm not mad about it, I guess. It's more of just like, okay, you have to adjust your expectations or your feelings about that. However, I am super glad with what they did with Wanda. I do feel like, yeah, you do need to see WandaVision, which raises a few issues. I felt like they handled it well, so enough to any unsuspecting audience member to get some sort of understanding of what's going on, but to understand the mental state of Wanda in that moment and why she is, if you're comparing that to the leap from Endgame, that's a pretty big leap, I feel like. So, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like that raises some issues. And I feel like it would also be a more rewarding experience had you watched WandaVision going into this. Because otherwise I feel like the whole storyline with her children would fall flat. Just because you're being introduced to them in this movie alone.
That's a fair point. Now I'm sitting here thinking maybe I just really enjoyed how they handled the storyline just because I've seen WandaVision and I knew it all.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I was kind of talking out of my ass earlier. Damn.
Well,
You know what?
not necessarily. I'm not, and I'm
They
not
could've
even
done a
trying
better
to
job.
contradict you, but that was my feeling. Is just, and this is a very tight movie. They
Oh,
pack
tight.
a lot
So
in,
tight.
and it
Oh.
is it moves so quickly, which is another reason why I want to see it again.
Yeah.
But it was, to that extent, I was also grateful, like, because it felt even more of a fun episode or like adventure. You know what I mean?
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
But then again, it also leaves some things a little something to be desired. And I don't know what that is necessarily, but I guess the last couple of Marvel movies have all been 2 hours 20 at least.
At least.
So yeah, I don't know. It's but overall, I'll just wrap this up. Overall, I do have some other nitpicky things that I'm sure we'll cross. Overall, I did have like a really good time with it. It definitely surprised me in more ways than I expected. The horror elements I really dug. The music, I don't really rant about Marvel music, generally speaking. But the Danny Elfman score was awesome in this. And I had a lot of cool moments that I'm sure we'll get into, but it had like Sam Raimi all over it, and
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm glad that they just like let him off the leash a little bit, and had fun with this. And you could tell that he definitely had fun doing this, and I'm sure everybody involved just like enjoyed a change in tempo. It wasn't kind of like a self-serious superhero film. It was a lot more to it. So for now, that's what I've got. I would give it a solid, 8 out of 10 as of right now, for pure enjoyment.
Yeah, I'm gonna open this one and go. Okay, so
Cheers.
yeah, I mean, you make up a great point. Look, the takeaways, the great stars of this is like Sam Raimi, Lizzie Olsen. I'm calling her Lizzie because we're friends. Okay, all her friends call her Lizzie. Lizzie Olsen and Danny Elfman and Benedict Cumberbatch did a great job. But I mean, those forces, you could really feel them throughout the movie. I mean, this was a fun ride. You know what I mean? It was stunningly visual, like all these like awesome Sam Raimi camera movements, like Wanda peeking into Wanda 838, where she's like coming from the staircase, or all these flying motions all around were really cool. And when he went on board to do this movie, he was like, if I'm gonna do this movie, I'm gonna need 10 storyboard artists. And Kevin Feige's like, no, you're gonna get 20 storyboard artists, and you can see it. You can see like all the distinct like shots and flavors that are happening in this movie. Like everything is so unique. And sure, there are some moments that are like, okay, it's like kind of like basic setups, over the shoulder stuff, that's fine. But like some of these action sequences, it's so creative and so fun and so like visceral and so engaging. You just kind of get pulled and swept right into the motion of it all, which is really cool. I like how it showcases Strange's abilities a lot more this time. Like in Doctor Strange, the first one, he just has like a golden whip, and then that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? Here we're seeing all kinds of different things. The shot where the demons are wrapped around him as wings.
Okay.
I audibly gasped when that happened. I was like, holy fucking shit, that's so awesome. But I mean,
only because you're bringing that up right now, I would love to just comment on that. That was definitely I may have my qualms about the Zombie Strange part of this movie. That really was so cool.
That visual was so strong.
When they grab him and then he kind of turns it into his cape or whatever, it was dude, if anyone can get away with this, it's like Sam Raimi in this movie right now.
And like he like when they said that because Scott Derrickson left because I think he really wanted to lean towards horror, and then Kevin Feige wanted it to be, the way he was pitching it was like, well, when I watched Indiana Jones, that was scary. And so I was going into this thinking like, oh, it's going to be very tamed horror. It's like, it's going to be fine. But there was a lot more, obviously to horror fans, it's not going to be like, what you think of horror, but like for this movie and what I expected to go into it, it was a lot more than I expected, especially like the deaths that you see from the Illuminati and the way they die, and the like, you know, Professor X's neck getting snapped, Doctor Strange, the Sinister Strange getting pierced through the fence, like the way that Bolt, like Black Bolt, like blows his head, and the way he does horror is like comedic too. You know, if you see Drag Me to Hell, there's a lot of comedy in the way he does his horror stuff. And like the way Fantastic Four died, like he turned into string cheese and then his head popped and made a funny sound effect. And we're like it was like gruesome, but also ridiculous and funny. And so all of that characteristic really came through. And you're just thinking like, holy shit, like I can't believe they got away with doing this stuff, you know? And
he broke Professor X's neck.
Yeah.
And who's the guy with the thimbles on his head or whatever?
Black Bolt.
Black Bolt. Yeah. I mean,
he's from the Inhumans show, Ed. Did you know that?
No.
You know, they did like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and like Inhumans on ABC or something.
Sure.
Inhumans, he was an actor who played that character on that show, and they brought him back to like make that universe like, you know, part of the multiverse.
Yeah.
I love the way he died.
Yes, because you come in thinking, oh, this is like, it's like the Hulk in Infinity War, like, oh, here comes his superpower, like he's gonna destroy everyone. And the way that Wanda just turns that so quickly on us as an audience member, and we're like, holy fuck, and the fear that he has, and just completely gets him out of the game. I thought that was great. And again, like Lizzie's performance, because we're friends, I'm gonna call her Lizzie. Lizzie's performance was so good. Like you could see her vulnerability, you could see her performance. I mean, if you didn't have a performance that she gave, this movie would have fallen a lot flatter than what we got, because her emotions carried through all of these beats and how all of her suffering that she was going through. Even though she was a villain, you could feel the pain that she was going through, and like obviously she was heavily influenced by the Darkhold. And so it was just like depression at its worst. But
she really leaned into the almost like the villainous dialogue. You know.
She had a great time with some of that dialogue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you could tell like she was really just like giving it.
The back and forth between her and Strange when they were at
Kamar-Taj?
Yes.
Kamar-Taj, yeah.
Yes. I almost said Kama Sutra, and I was like, is that one of those sex things? But yeah, that dialogue back and forth, it was like, especially because, you know, Wanda doesn't talk like that normally, and she's become the Scarlet Witch.
It scares you. It takes you back.
Organic.
It's like, holy shit, Wanda! No, not my Wanda. You know.
Before WandaVision, you would think even though she's troubled or has these powers that are really whatever, there was like a heart to her that you were like, okay, she's friendly. You know, she became an Avenger for a reason. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so the fact that I kind of just loved the aspect of him being like, I can get you back on the lunchbox. And now it's like very clear, especially because of what happened in WandaVision, like no way is she ever going to come back from that, I don't think. And this really doubled down from that.
Yeah.
What I was going to say a second ago, I don't think it's going to happen, and this will be my last point. I don't think it's going to happen for Scarlet Witch, but I will say this: Elizabeth Olsen is due for an Oscar, like at some point in her career. I mean, she's a phenomenally dramatic actress, but who doesn't like. It doesn't feel like, even in this world of a superhero movie, it doesn't feel like I'm putting on or I'm acting really hard right now. It's so organic.
You genuinely feel her pain. You know what I mean?
Yes,
and it's like really, it's very sad.
Going to be one of the greats, I think.
You know, I wanted to talk about, I know we talked about like Doctor Strange's arc, because it was a lot, this felt like for me, it was a very tragic story. It was like a tragic epilogue of Wanda, you know what I mean? Because the stakes were so high, and so much as she'd gone through, that all of her motivations, there was so much emotion behind her motivations and so much reason behind it, that for me, it was like a tragedy, because this is a woman who is very open and very vulnerable, who fell in love, and she just got a terrible set of cards over and over and over and over again, and she got manipulated by the Darkhold and took advantage of her vulnerability and her depression. And so it's just so sad for me to see this character go where it went, and it makes, I mean, she was a great villain, but at the end it was just like heart-wrenching for me, because I do like her, and so that's why her performance and her story sticks out more to me than a Doctor Strange. And I think because the action, like Doctor Strange was just, for me, a lot. Yes, he has his arc of like, it's my way or the highway. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the one who made the decision about how we defeat Thanos. I'm the one who think this is the only way, blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, he kind of changes. But the action, he just gets caught up into the plot that he has no choice but to keep going and going and going and going and going. And it's so fast paced. And yeah, it's a tight 2-hour movie, which I love. But, you know, he didn't have enough time to explore his emotional battles or his issues. And, you know, that's why at the end, it's like, oh, of course, he has to like become a better person. But we didn't really see him struggle as much as Wanda struggled. You know what I mean? And there was an opportunity to showcase that. And I did read America Chavez. I read the comics before coming in, and I did have an opinion about it before going in. Like, oh, well, I'm not sure about this casting. And after watching the movie, I think this interpretation is different than what I would have expected. You know, I expected somebody who was more brash, more reckless, someone who is kind of like, it's my way or the highway as well. You know what I mean? And somebody who's not comfortable with emotions. So if you had a Doctor Strange who was hard-headed, and then you had an America Chavez who was hard-headed, and they were both going at each other, being hard-headed people saying, no, I want to do this way, I want to do this way. You have this pull between the both of them. And then at the end, America Chavez would have been more like, because that ending, she becomes vulnerable and she doesn't punch to save the third act. She uses like vulnerability and emotions to get Wanda to face herself. You know what I mean? And if America Chavez wasn't emotional and she was struggling and she kind of brushed it aside and she didn't want to face her emotions, if at the end of the third act, she finally had to come and face to face with her emotions and said, you know what? It's not all about punching out of a situation. It's about opening my heart, and it's about like, you know, opening hearts and blah, 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 blah. That would have been a great arc for her as well. And her butting heads with Doctor Strange would have forced us to see Doctor Strange be more of a dick or be more of an egotistical person, because I felt like a lot of the egotistical talk of Doctor Strange was either showcased through his variants or things that he did in the past. There wasn't a lot of examples in the movie themselves of him doing something that was super egotistical or my way or the highway. Sure, there were like talking points, and sure, there were things that were said, and yes, the storyline do all these things, but we didn't. I wanted to see more of that. I want to see more of Doctor Strange being like that person who's like, this is the only way, and not through his variants, but through him. And you know,
like there should have been a second movie in between this, maybe exploring further into Doctor Strange. Just almost
it's
like
his movie,
in a lot of.
So we should have seen his arrogance.
No, I agree.
More,
but
you know?
This almost feels like it was formulated under the impression that we already know where Doctor Strange is and who he is.
Right.
And Multiverse feels like it would have been a good third movie. You know, if we were going by the rule of three for most of our Marvel characters, you know what I mean? You've got Ragnarok, you've got No Way Home, obviously just recently with Strange in that too. But yeah, it feels like that there should have been more built to it. I feel like there's an assumption of his state of, you know, where he was and the whole thing.
Yeah.
And like, for instance, one thing that surprised me that they didn't really go too much into was his you know, quote unquote love story with Christine, Rachel McAdams' character. It was Christine, right?
Yeah.
I really did expect that to play a bigger role into this, but then again, we've never, like in the first movie, they don't have much of a relationship, and it's never referred to anywhere else aside from What If. So I guess coming into this movie, I did think it was going to be a driving force behind it, but it really wasn't. So later on, when he's like, "Oh, I love you in all the universes," it's like, well, I was just like, okay, sure you do, pal.
You have to just kind of take that at face value because you're not really invested in it.
Exactly, and I love Rachel McAdams, and I wish, over the course of these two movies, I guess that again, a character that we could have seen more of, and you know, just kind of fell by the wayside.
Two quick points to something you just said. So first I'll talk about Rachel McAdams. Like obviously, no, Yeah, I love that you did this like we could smell it. You know what I mean?
Just-
This is not. Yeah, I don't even brush my teeth before I talk to you guys when I do this. It's okay. No, for Rachel McAdams, I'm just kind of sitting here wondering, like the same with like Natalie Portman in the Thor movies. You know,
Yeah.
she kind of was just like, I'm not making any more of these. I think what I assume or what I've read, I don't know her exact thoughts on it, but you know, it seems like, yeah, I'm not really doing anything. I'm just the girlfriend. And it's like Natalie Portman is an Oscar winning actress. She's been around for forever. She could do a little bit more. And so like them bringing her back for this new Thor movie and kind of making her the new Thor, that's exciting. And I'm just wondering, like, Rachel McAdams is kind of in the same boat right now. She's being, I don't want to say wasted, because she's, you know, it's Rachel McAdams. If she's there, you're like, okay, she's putting in the work. But it's just like, you're just not really getting as much from that character. And it kind of feels like I'd like her to do more. And the second thing I want to mention is, you know, Ed, you were talking about how this could have been like a third movie. And kind of just to your talking point earlier about like having to see WandaVision before this, it really feels like for you to understand where Doctor Strange is, you also have to understand like what he went through during What If. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And Luis's point about you don't see him being arrogant or this or that. And you're like, yeah, you kind of see that in the cartoon. And it's like, yeah, maybe you miss out on that when you rely so heavily on the fact. And I know this is like Marvel's plan right now, but maybe you miss out on that pretty heavily when you just have to watch these TV shows first.
And that's what I think. If you had America Chavez in the comics who's like hard headed, and you have two hard heads going at it, that's some great conflict and drama that could have happened, where they both kind of like, hey, you need to be like Doctor Strange, you need to humble yourself, which he does, and he gets help from Christine, and he gets help from America Chavez, and like that would have been good to see. So I think we know it. I just wanted to see more of it from him specifically, and not his variants. You know
like,
what I mean?
For us, it's easy to, because we do know or recognize a lot of these elements, so we don't really question it. But yeah, again, if you jump from Endgame to this in Wanda's story, that's got to be a little confusing. And the same can be said with Doctor Strange from What If, and
he was also in Spider-Man a little bit.
Well, in Spider-Man, but like as far as like his emotional state, and also the full potential of the multiverse, like we came into this movie expecting to see like a third eye and tentacles and you know, multiple versions of Strange. I'll get to that third eye in a minute. I know what that was for. And I'm not talking about my dong. There's a lot resting on just the assumption that, you know, everybody's a diehard fan, I feel like.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's hard to place yourself in that seat of not being familiar with Marvel movies and seeing this with fresh eyes in that regard. Wondering, like, what the fuck is going on?
It's a tough place to be, because Marvel, like, there's so much story that are coming out from the heads and the tails of it. But at the end of the day, like, it is nice to see a full, like, little movie, or like a full arc in that movie. Like, I know there's the arc encompasses even more than this movie, but to see it happen would have been nice. But I mean, I love final thoughts is like, I love this movie. You know, I saw it twice.
Sure.
I saw it at the Dolby Cinema, and I saw it at the IMAX. And
I do want to see it again. Can you guys remind me, America Chavez, do they ever wrap up her story regarding her parents?
No.
Right?
And
see,
no, they don't.
This was another thing. You guys said I guess I kind of left the theater feeling kind of cold towards her. Not necessarily in a negative, but more of just like not a fully developed story or character right there. That was another thing that I felt short a little bit.
I think they do a good job with like referencing her as kind of like a kid. They talk about her being like a, you know what I mean, like a teenager. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure.
And for her not being fully developed, especially when she's like being introduced in someone else's movie, that just feels like the formula's there. You know what I mean? Obviously, we're gonna get a little bit. I was sitting there thinking, watching the movie, okay, kind of like with Shang-Chi and You know, like Black Panther when they introduced Black Panther in Civil War.
Right.
I was just sitting there thinking, okay, who's gonna be like her ensemble? Like, if they do an in-game type movie with like, I guess like Secret Wars or something in 10 years, who's gonna be her little group of characters that goes and is with her and
probably it'd probably be the Young Avengers. You know what I mean? Her.
Oh, that makes sense. That
Hawkeye,
makes sense.
Yelena. Who else is young?
Oh, totally. Duh. Of course.
Miss Marvel. Now that she's getting her own show, you know what I mean? Like it's gonna be like the young whippersnappers and doing their thing.
Okay,
but
let's.
But I was gonna say, are we ready to talk about like the moments we liked about this movie?
Yeah. I think I think I said my points. So yeah, I like this movie. I know at the end I was getting into Doctor Strange, but I thought it was super fun, and it's creeping my way into my top 10. You know what I mean? So
can I throw two negatives out there real quick? Just like two.
I just threw a bunch of negatives. You could definitely nitpick it. I mean, don't get me talking about
Doctor Strange's hair at the beginning of this movie is really awful.
Well,
distractingly bad.
Wait, what?
even when he's at the wedding, I thought
at the wedding it's so plastic.
That
looking.
Was where it looked the worst to me. I kind of bought the ponytail a little bit. I
got the ponytail. Yeah, I'm talking about.
We're on the same page. That was terrible.
Our universe, Strange, I guess.
Yeah.
His hair, you could actually see the wig line. It was terrible. I was just like, who's approving this?
Bro, it also looked like hot. Like I remember being like, oof, I feel like I'm sweating just thinking about putting that thing on my head. No, it did not look good there.
No, plastic as hell. And
what's your second one?
My second one was I felt like they tried to do Wong right in this. But then they made him seem like an idiot. Whenever the siege of Kamar-Taj.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'm a Wong fan. After making so much of a big deal out of her not getting the Darkhold or whatever, and then he gives it up for the sake of 4 nobodies.
But doesn't that speak to the heart of Wong? They were being tormented, and he asked all of those people. He called all of them all across the world to come protect this place.
Yes.
They failed, and then she was torturing them on top of that, and he was just like, I can't let them down just that much more. You know what I mean? It's a human emotion.
I feel like they were all about the sacrifice 1 second, and then not about it the next.
Well, not those
just for the sake of progression.
Right, like there's that moment at the end where at the very end of the movie where Wong is like, Strange, you gotta take her power. There is no other way. Like, just fuck her, sacrifice her. And then at Kamar-Taj, he's like, no, don't kill those people. I'll tell you where the Darkhold is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's like
I thought about that too, but I feel like if Wong said no and she killed them anyway, I think she would have probably gone on a killing spree and kill everybody.
Killed him too, right then. You know what I mean?
She would have killed New York, gone. San Francisco, gone.
Actually,
what other cities do you want me to kill?
Now that you're saying that, Luis, that actually would be super cool. I'm not talking about like whole mass genocide.
Because I thought the same thing too. Awful. Like what? Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that would be like that would honestly take as scary as she was at times in this movie. That really would like make her frightening. Like if she just like wiped out, like imagine Ultron and Sokovia, you know what I mean? But she could just do it with the snap of a finger, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Nitpicky things, that's all. Yeah. Obviously I was there for it, and I'm glad that they utilize Wong more. It was
I think I'm just a sucker.
Something that like annoyed me in the moment. I was just like, well, okay. If it, give up that easily, it just kind of defeated the whole purpose of the initial grandstand, but whatever. Anyway,
I did kind of like how they paired up for a brief moment though. I did kind of think like for a second, oh, she's gonna go into this like dream walking state, and Wong is gonna try to like win her over in some way. I thought he was gonna be the one that did it. It ended up being America Chavez in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm just a sucker for Wong. I like him. He's only gotten more fun for me as the movies went on, So
okay.
Again, this isn't like a disdain for Wong. It's more of just the, just like the convenient storytelling. in that moment.
Okay, good things.
Well,
let's talk about the good things.
Let's talk about good
shut
things.
up, man.
Okay, well, I was gonna say.
Shit, never mind. Luis, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll say two things again. God damn it. Sorry. Okay, I just want to say this again. I know I have so much to say. Can we please include more practicals in the Marvel universe?
Yes.
Oh,
The
man,
compositing in some of these things, which is like taking characters that are green screen and placing them into things, is very hard and very rough because they are in the end, it really is just a 2D image. And so you're placing them into 3D stuff. And like when they were wrapped up in Gargantos' arm and they were being carried around.
Oh, that was a tough one.
I was like, if having like a practical arm to hold them and then inputting that practical arm or rebuilding it into a digital figure would have been better. But I could feel a lot of like the compositing, even when Strange is walking down the hallway and he's shadowed, I could feel that they added shadows on him in post. And it's just like, I want things to be done a little bit more practically, even the way that they do things with The Mandalorian, where they have the volume and the LED screen.
That
like,
screen.
Let us, incorporate that more. And I know the problem is because they're doing those backgrounds after they shoot. You know what I mean? And they want to have the freedom to change it as they go. But this is a time and time again issue where I'm seeing where just the compositing, I'm having difficulty going with because I can see them as like little cutout figures, you know.
And sometimes it's very syrupy, you know what I mean? It's just like overproduced kind of deal. You just feel like, oh,
yeah,
with all the CGI. I will say this. Can we talk? Okay, fuck it. Can we talk about some? I want to nitpick about something. If Ed got to nitpick, I want to nitpick too. Okay?
You nitpick, yeah. We all love this movie, but we're nitpicking.
I'm just playing it. No, listen. I want to talk about Zombie Strange for a minute. And specifically, the point I want to make is this. Yeah. Because you were talking about how you want more practical things. And I feel like that is a general kind of opinion on the internet right now about movies in general. You know what I mean? The MCU is really doing it a whole bunch, but it's not just the MCU. I mean, think about like Jurassic World coming out or whatever. Yeah. It's just like the more and more CGI heavy you go, the more fake it looks, the less you're kind of pulled into it. And I've always kind of had that opinion, like most of the internet nerds. However, in this movie, Zombie Strange, the fact that it was like, it was basically like Benedict Cumberbatch in like zombie makeup, right?
Yeah.
I thought that looked terrible. It just looked like Benedict Cumberbatch with like Halloween, you know what I mean, zombie makeup on his face. And I couldn't believe when I was having this thought in the moment in the theater, but I was like, fuck, I wish they would have CGI'd him a lot more. Like, given him... The other thing, to your point about talking about the tentacles and stuff, daylight CGI is almost always awful. You know, anytime the CGI is, like, heavily featured during daytime, it's so easy to tell from the light it's not right. But because it was, like, this dark moment in this movie, I feel like they could have used a little bit more CGI and hidden it in the shadows. I don't know. There was something about, and also the fact that you could see his like eyes. You know what I mean? I'm kind of like a sucker for like that like dead eye look. You know, where it's like, you know, blue or whatever because it's just not there anymore.
Like it's white.
They could have blended it. They could have blended it visually, like keep some of the practical, but some of the points near his eye, they could have blended like just to have it easier. But it could have also been. I mean, it could have been a Sam Raimi like, you know, choice because Sam Raimi kind of has that. Hack, like, you know, not hacky, but like, you know what I mean? Like
those,
he likes those practical effects.
Some of the Zombie Strange moments, besides the cape, I really liked the cape. Some of those moments was when I was like, oh gosh, this is where I'm not into it. Although that was not the worst part, and I'm going to save my worst opinion of the movie until a little later.
Yeah, I liked the practical makeup, even to a point where I think they should have used that for the third eye, and to your point, Miguel, rendered it with the movement of it with CGI.
Oh my god!
But that 3D eye looks so terrible.
And I talked about that before this movie came out. I talked about that when they did that.
It's like, oh, surely they'll fix it. No, they didn't.
And you guys also like, okay, so in the moment, you know what I mean? He does the eye thing, and you're supposed to go, and I was just like, this is terrible.
Yeah, no.
But then at the end of the movie, they're like walking away, and then Strange is like, oh, I got a third eye. I was like, fuck. they're gonna bring this thing back
twice.
gonna,
It was the it was the mid scene too, where he was like, "Let's do this," and his little eye was smiling.
That's what I'm talking about. God, and it was just
not good.
It was not good. So I have like these weird yin and yangs where I'm like, I wish it would have been more CGI at one point and way less CGI on the other.
Yeah. It would have been fun doing that practically too, like filming it practically and then like putting it in there. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Sam Raimi has a reason why he chooses certain things, and maybe he wanted to feel a certain way, but I totally understand. I mean, can I talk about another thing too?
Yeah, let's just shit on this movie. Whatever. 90% I gave it.
No, look, we like this movie, but like, let's talk about the turning point in this movie where we sidestep from the story just a little bit, and we introduce a whole nother group, the Illuminati. What were your guys' thoughts on the Illuminati?
Okay, all right. Yeah,
is it Illuminati or
the Illuminati? The Illuminati.
Okay, I thought it was funnier as Illuminati.
No.
So I'm just going to call it Illuminati in my head.
That's some English shit that you just said right there, right? That's some Britain. That's some like UK.
Well, I was just thinking about how you guys say
they call it the Illuminati will see you now.
I hated the line that Doctor Strange said, and also I just kind of think like make him less funny. I would be way okay if Doctor Strange was less funny.
Wait, what was he funny? What was he funny?
When he was in the cage and they were like, "You will see the Illuminati," and he was like, "The Illumina-whatty?" I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
that was not a good line. It immediately took me back to Spider-Man when he was like, "Scooby-Doo this crap" or whatever. I was just like, Benedict Cumberbatch doesn't need to be Doctor Strange. Excuse me, doesn't need to be the funny Avenger.
But he's kind of like the dad joke guy. You know what I mean?
I don't like it. I'm not here.
I understand that. I don't know why.
Because Doctor Strange is already he's. In my first introductions with Doctor Strange, he's already so goofy, doing all these like Power Ranger moves. I'm just like, please don't.
I think
don't make it worse.
For once, it would be good if he was just straight faced about everything he does, and he's the one who's wearing a cape doing magic. Like, just let him be self-serious.
I texted you guys in the movie. We didn't really talk about it, but every time I see Doctor Strange, and then especially in this movie during like the silly dialogue and also the zombie moment, I just cannot fathom Joaquin Phoenix playing this character and doing any of this.
No,
you know
Joaquin Phoenix, no. I think Benedict Cumberbatch is perfect for this role. I think.
Listen, I like him, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think they should make him funny. You know what I mean? I when he's a little more serious and just like those moments where he's like telling it like it is in Infinity War, I'm like, I'm listening to you in this moment because you seem very certain. And even though you've only been like Sorcerer Supreme for like a handful of years, you seem to have really like picked up on it. And I don't know. And so and he's also like a doctor, like outside of being the superhero. I don't know. Yeah. It's like you.
Well, he's not the Sorcerer Supreme right now. Remember?
Obviously, no. They made that very clear in this movie. But no, I think he could be less funny. That's just like a tiny gripe. But I'm sorry, we were talking about the Illuminati. That's what you wanted to mention.
Go ahead. I mean, talk about John Krasinski, where the fans finally made their voice known, and he actually showed up. That was a spoiler. So we're talking about spoilers.
But then they killed him.
That's what.
Yep.
I know they killed everybody.
So,
they killed everybody.
Genius.
Dude,
so
everyone
good.
died. I was like, I couldn't believe how and it was brutal. How all of them died. Like,
one of the things, yes. One of the things I asked Luis after he saw it, because you were the first one to see it before us, is I texted him and I said, okay, just real quick. Obviously, I've been spoiled. I know Fantastic Four. I know X-Men with Xavier. Do they really set up these characters, or are they just kind of one-off? And that's what Luis was like. They're really just one-offs. And that's so true. It does kind of make me wonder, we're seeing John Krasinski as Richard Reeds right now. Is that because the internet wanted that, and they're kind of feeding that for just this movie? And then when Fantastic Four comes out, it's actually going to be an entirely different cast?
I kind of hope it is.
Or are they going to commit and really do the whole John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, whatever, yada, yada fan cast? And kind of to Ed's point, I would be more interested if they were like, yeah, this was the multiverse, and no, we're done with them.
Yeah, I think that would be such a confident and just brilliant stroke.
I mean, because they did it with WandaVision.
I took it.
Yeah?
Yeah,
with John Boner.
John Boner? What?
Boner. John Boner.
Quicksilver from the X-Men movies came in that one couple of episodes.
Yeah.
and people were like, "Oh, he's actually Quicksilver's coming back," and then he just ended up being an actor named John Boner.
Psych.
His last name was Boner.
Yeah,
You don't remember that, Ed?
I don't remember that.
Damn,
joke,
dude,
no.
go back and watch that show, dude.
I want to now after this movie anyway, but
Yes,
okay.
but for
I
other
do not
reasons.
remember the John Boner bit. Good one.
But if the idea is that this 616 Doctor Strange, right?
Yeah.
Then takes this idea of the Illuminati, and that's going to play into
They set up the
Secret Wars or whatever.
incursions. That's
The
This was
incursions.
setting up the. This was just a setup for the incursions. You know what I mean? It wasn't even. This is a sidestep to be like incursions are happening. This is a thing. Just so you know, and now we're all gonna die a bloody way. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm here for it.
it was cool to see them play the X-Men music.
God,
when
I
it
got
came
such
out.
a hard on when they
Man,
did that.
Sean said that too. I totally missed it. I was just just so much like, yeah, I've
It's like,
seen all this
"Da-da-da-da-da,"
already.
as he was
Oh,
rolling.
Yeah, I was so
no.
excited. Oh
Damn,
man, it was so
I can't
good.
believe I missed that. That's wild as fuck.
It also makes me sad that that's how his life ends. Is like you watch
Yeah.
the animated
Oh.
series and then it ends with Wanda like snapping his neck. It's just like
Bold
Perfect.
choice, and I thought that was truly one of the scarier moments of Wanda.
Yeah.
Like whereas they made that like a horror movie, like
yeah.
and her
Remember when
coming
she-
out of the screen like
Yes, the gong.
like the
where she's
ring.
coming out of the gong and she's like twitching.
Yo,
Yeah.
that was a solid moment. That was when I was like, okay, cool. And to your point, you said earlier, Luis, like if you're a horror fan, you might not feel blah 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 blah, but this is an MCU movie.
Yeah.
And this is how they have interpreted that genre. And I thought bringing Sam Raimi in and then the way they handled it was really spot on for this interpretation of the genre.
Yeah, really good. We haven't talked too much. No, I do love the idea that.
Ed, real quick, you know what I'm going to ask?
Oh, go. Yeah.
Captain Carter, okay? She's your people.
Yeah.
How did you feel in that moment? She got cut in half. Bah!
Yeah. Well, right
I like
after.
that.
Was that-
how
was that
many,
like when-
how many
was-
Americans died before she did? Just.
Okay, that felt like an attack. All right.
No, I thought you were bringing
I
it
can't
up
believe
purely
she
to say
survived that
like,
long.
oh yeah, the British one died. So,
No, I wanted to get
I
your
was like-
opinion, and now I know how you really feel.
No, I thought that was. I was wondering like, oh, is this gonna?
Wandering.
With each one, you were wondering like, oh, who's gonna be the one to kind of stop Wanda?
None.
And yeah, it was fucking brutal. It was great to see a Captain Britain, and I mean,
Captain
I knew it
Carter.
was coming because of the trailers, which
Captain
I'm
Britain
going
is
to
someone else.
reiterate. Right? She's Captain Britain. She's got
no,
the
Captain
fucking.
Britain's someone else. She's Captain Carter.
I want to say in Endgame,
Okay.
when
Aside
they go
from
back-
the British flag and shit like that.
I know. There's
no,
a
Let's
Captain
just call
Britain
it
now.
Captain Britain.
There's a dude named whatever. We're not
Sure.
gonna fight about this.
The internet
No,
wants
I
Henry,
understand
the
that
internet
there
wants Henry
is-
Cavill to play that character.
Yeah.
That would be great.
When she spit that blood out and said, "I can do this all day," that I know some people may roll their eyes at that, but I was like, okay, I love
Yeah,
it.
you can. Yeah,
Dude,
you
I
can.
love that.
And then
I
she
love that
died.
shit. I
No,
love
it was I'm glad it just felt like they were like, okay, the audience wants these characters, fuck it, let's do it, and then let's kill them.
Absolutely.
Done.
And
Well, also,
that's-
Reed Richards,
That's how
like,
I feel. Yeah.
that was the dumbest. Like, he was like, I'm gonna stretch to you. Like, you were the smartest man next to Tony Stark. Are you kidding me? There was no other smart gadget way you got to get her instead of just like long arms. You know what I mean?
Well, that just makes
I mean,
it
that's
seem
who
like
he
his
is,
whole
so what did you
power
want
is
him to
stupid.
do?
No, but he's
Yeah.
a smart person. He teleported into the scene. He was like bloop 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 bloop, and he came in. I'm sure, like, he is a person who can create devices that are like from the 40th
Sure.
century. I'm sure he could have like used some 40th century technology to stop her, and not just his squiggly arms. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
I don't think that's. I think
But,
his
like,
main
in the heat
his
of the
main
moment.
right in the heat of the moment. Sure. I mean, she popped his brain like a popsicle, you know. But like,
Yeah.
his power is
she unwound him like
his
some-
intellect. He just happens to stretch, you know.
Oh
but,
man, what a dope! I'm just gonna sprinkle in some of the things I like. What a dope line when she was like,
oh yeah.
he was like, "I have kids. I know what it's like," and she was like, "Do they have a mother?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then she was like, "Okay, good. Someone will raise them." And then she kills him.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
that was a hype moment for me. I didn't get that spoiled. I had no idea she was gonna have that dialogue with him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whew.
I remember sitting in the theater, my mouth was open when this whole scene was happening. I was like,
yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, all of this is happening? And then the one person,
it was like a, oh shit.
Yeah. The one person who, you know what? Like, they've said that Captain Marvel is one of the strongest Avengers. Like, the Russo brothers have come out to say that. And you can see that happen when Monica Rambeau was facing against Wanda. Remember, she was doing like her, she was going almost binary and shooting her Cosmos stuff at her. And you shoot back to Wanda as she was like daywalking, like our Wanda, and she was just sweating bullets, and she was barely holding on control of Wanda 838. And so there was a moment there where it was like, oh, maybe this Captain Marvel could overpower her, and it just, I don't know. I thought that was cool. I thought we got to see that. I don't know. I thought, what else?
Diving through the multiverse, the first time that America Chavez and Doctor Strange go through the multiverse, and they turn into all those variations.
Yeah,
that was fucking incredible. And
I was
again,
gonna say, what
Danny Elfman, the Danny Elfman score to that too was awesome.
Man, see,
there are a lot of drops in this.
This is how I know who I'm talking to. Like you, Luis, and Ed, you both are like very good about the music. I'm sitting here literally, I cannot even picture what the Danny Elfman theme sounded like. You know what I mean? I was just not tuned into the music in the same way you guys are. I'll take your word for it. You know what I mean? I assume it was amazing.
You should rewatch. When you rewatch it, you should hear some sick guitar shreds that happen. He does like...
Oh, they do that. That's
the drops
true.
are so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about it, how inspired was that battle of musical notes?
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. The set pieces in this movie, from Wanda attacking, from the music battle, from the Illuminati, like all of these things were, the set pieces were so good.
Stop. Hold on.
I was taken aback. Yeah, go for it.
No, that was the moment. My least favorite moment of this entire movie.
The music battle
was the
You
music
didn't like
battle.
that?
I fucking hated that.
No,
you guys, y'all, and I feel like chasing this moment. I'm like, are you guys idiots? You know what I mean? Like no.
What didn't you like about it?
Literally everything, Ed. It was terrible.
He couldn't touch him. He tried to touch him with his weapon. He couldn't.
I don't care. I don't care what the justification was. When he hit the piano, I thought that was fine. They were like, dun, 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 or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, fun little musical note in this moment. And then they literally interpreted that as, let's battle with music notes. And then like the sheet of music in front of them. No.
That's the wacky Sam Raimi though. That's the goofy, wacky
the
Sam Raimi.
Multiverse of Madness.
To your point,
madness,
so I watched the IGN review of Doctor Strange before I saw the movie.
Okay, I did it. Yeah.
Shout out IGN. And I thought she did a great job. I don't remember her name, but the woman who reviewed it, she did a pretty good job. And one of the things she said was, it's a fun movie and it's very Sam Raimi for better or for worse. And there's some moments that you may roll your eyes at, but blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't super spoily at all. And I wasn't even really thinking about it throughout the movie. But when that third act showed up and they did that music bit, I was like, this is what she's talking about. She's absolutely speaking on this moment. I assume. You can ask her for me, but no. I was just, oh my God. And Sean, this is the only time I'm going to use Sean's opinion. Sean was the same way. And we had 3 guys sitting next to us, and it was like all 5 of us were like, what the fuck is happening in this moment?
I loved it.
I almost texted Bryce. Bryce to be like, this is the Batman moment. You know what I mean? Like, I'm laughing hard at this moment because it's awful.
I think about Sam Raimi pitching that idea.
Shut the fuck up, Bryce. Liked that moment.
Yeah, he thought it was cool.
I'm calling him. Cool. I'm gonna FaceTime him right after this, and I'm gonna just.
Luis, you liked it, right? I
did like it. At first, I was like, "What is going on?" And then I got into it.
The moment he started turning
and then I got into it.
I was like, "Are they about to like fight back and forth with music notes?"
Yeah,
and they did. And I was just like, I was so there for it. I was just like,
what a wacky thing to do.
Are blowing my mind right now.
And
I thought at least one of you would agree with me on this.
No, that was like one of the fun parts about it. Just as wacky as it is diving through the multiverse, turning into paint and stuff. I wish that scene had dragged out longer, because you want to see those variations of it. But like that, Doctor Strange can do those things. Like, it doesn't even seem out of place. It just works so well.
It doesn't seem out of place.
No, not at all.
I totally disagree. So very respectfully, I'm not trying to attack anyone, and obviously, I feel like I'm defending my opinion right now. But I just, and if I'm wrong, whatever the fuck, I don't give a fuck. It was just easily the worst part. I didn't like the Zombie Strange bit. This was the worst part of the movie for me.
I had a huge stupid grin on my face with that, but when he turned to, I guess it was America, he was just like, who said anything about living or alive? In that moment, it was like the payoff for burying Strange earlier in that movie was great. I was just like, yes. I mean, I knew there was a Zombie Strange coming, but I didn't think we would be there to see his burial and resurrection. And I was so, because that is the Sam Raimi-ness. That's like Evil Dead written all over it.
Yeah.
As soon as they put him in the ground, though, they give a really close-up shot of his face, and I felt like that was the same face we've seen in the trailer. So I felt like I was expecting that most of the movie. Okay, they're going to come back to this body.
Well, yeah, like I knew they were going to come back to it, but it was in that moment when he was finally like, "Who said anything about living?"
Here's my problem, and actually, I want to talk about Bryce for just a quick moment, and I'll be done. But I remember when Infinity War came out, I was talking to Bryce about it, and I was telling him how I was not a fan of Doctor Strange, and he was telling me about how much of a fan of Doctor Strange he was. Maybe that's exaggerating a little bit, but he was saying...
He said that's one of his favorite
characters. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, no, Doctor Strange to me is just so goofy with these fucking Power Ranger moves and this and that, and some of the dialogue is not very great at all. And no, that's exactly how I felt in the third act of this movie. It was just like, God, this dialogue is not great. Honestly, God, I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm attacking. I hated that line where he was talking about who said anything about living.
You just don't like him being snarky. You don't like it.
I just don't like it. And honestly, I think I don't like Doctor Strange. I like moments with Doctor Strange. I really liked how this movie, something we have never... Shut the fuck up. Some of the things we've never seen Doctor Strange do other than in like What If is these tentacles and stuff. You know what I mean? And so I thought, oh wow, they're really like bringing that aspect of Doctor Strange into the forefront. Whereas you were talking about the whip earlier, Luis, and it's a lot of circles and this and that, and maybe a sword here and there. But this like animalistic tentacles, they had the monster eating people in the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I kind of got on a tangent. These, I don't know. I was more into those moments than I was into the last act of this movie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being so aggressive about this.
No, not at all. It's
I'm just shocked. I'm shocked I'm the only one that had something negative to say about that.
But honestly, coming into this movie, it was moments like that I would have expected to hit home, because that's what you want when you go into a movie titled Into the Multiverse of Madness. It's the madness of it. And coming out of movies like, and I told myself I wasn't going to make this comparison, but
do it.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. The utilization of just like everyday things into their battles or whatever. Yeah, I'm here for it. Do it, and I'm so glad they did. If anything, I wish there was more of it in this movie. Like
I would have liked. Sorry,
all of these. You had all of these sorcerers that I rolled my eyes at the Battle of Cameltage, or whatever you want to call it.
The Battle of
Cameltage. Just because, like, it was so cliche. It was just like, stand your ground. You got all these fucking wizards who are trained in the mystic arts with bow and arrows and shit.
The cannons,
Like, because she managed to trick one guy.
It was cool when she tricked that guy, though, wasn't it? When she snuck it around and whispered.
Well, I'm just like, the whole thing of it is just like, okay,
dips out.
What are they teaching these people? But yeah, I mean, I wanted more in that kind of creative action that we haven't seen before. Seeing a bunch of guys raise shields above something like a fortress or whatever, waiting for the dark power to attack.
Was Doctor Strange when he trapped her in that mirror thing?
Yes.
Like
with the blades.
I think that's what you're talking about. Like
or
looking
shards.
the blades and the shards are like, I think looking more clever defensive ways to stop her. Like that that was super cool when he kind of like baited her and trapped her, and then she was like,
and again,
everything.
One of those moments where I wanted Wong to really shine, but he performed more of what you were talking about, Luis, with just the rings and the fucking whips and shit like that. Yeah. But he's the Sorcerer Supreme.
Okay,
like, Doctor Strange shouldn't be the only one who has the creative.
Shit. That's a fair point.
Outlet.
It would have been cooler to see, instead of us being told all the time he's the Sorcerer Supreme, if we were showed it a little bit more.
Exactly.
To that point, I totally agree.
He was around way before Doctor Strange.
But
sorry, go ahead.
I will also say, like in the octopus or whatever that character's name was.
Oh,
in that
was his moment.
Scene, when he did that, like, you know what I mean? Gosh, who else does that? Like they did that in whatever that style of fighting is, where they have the rope with the dagger attached at the end, and they twirl it around. Like you saw it in Mortal Kombat and this and that. I thought that was a fun interpretation of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh my God, there he is. What's his name?
Gargantos. So if you're on YouTube on Punch Drunk Nerd, I'm holding a Gargantos Legos.
We'll get a clip.
Thing.
You got the set?
What's that?
You got the set of it?
I did. So I've got little Doctor Strange here.
Very
Where
cool.
Is he? He's over here stopping him with his little shields. We got Wong here.
Yeah,
with his little
I want
purple
to see
shields.
Lego Wong. Yes, please.
And then we got America Chavez with her pride button.
Oh man.
And her star.
I really liked America Chavez. I'm
glad. No, you know what?
I'm excited to see more from.
I'm glad to hear that. You know, I think I was curious. I asked Sarah like what she thought of America Chavez too. It's just a different take. You know what I mean? I'm glad. I hope she grows into it more. But yeah, this is Gargantos.
I hope to see more of her, so I get to see more of her character. I felt she was slightly underserved in this film. I don't have any problems with her, the actress, who I'm afraid I'm not going to try and say it.
Say it again, Luis.
Xochitl Gomez, I think.
Social?
I don't know. Let us know at Punch Drunk Nerd. Why don't you record a voice memo and send it to us.
Somehow I find it easier to say Chiwetel Ejiofor than I do.
It was nice to see him back, by the way.
I really wanted him to be more of a good guy in this, and I thought he was for the most part. He was basically kind of neutral, except for when Strange kind of like goads him into a fight so he can get out of his handcuffs or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was kind of hoping they would bring, and this is kind of my thought on the multiverse characters in general. I was kind of hoping they would take someone who you think is a bad guy and bring him into the fold. I kind of think what's going to happen, I assume what they're setting up with Wanda is they're not getting rid of Elizabeth Olsen. Scarlet Witch, as this like demented Scarlet Witch, is now dead or gone.
Yeah.
And this variant of WandaVision, who has her kids alive, is going to be the new Wanda. Yeah.
Mm.
Sorry, Ed, go ahead.
No. I mean, at least for me, I would say that my expectations were definitely subverted as in regard to him. I thought he was about to be the driving force behind whatever evil force was going on in this movie, but because he's so by the book, and I'm talking about Chiwetel Ejiofor's character.
Okay. I was like, who are we talking about?
What is his character's name?
Mordo.
Is
that right?
I thought Mordo was going to be more of a driving antagonist behind this, so I thought they did a good job flipping that. Like, he was going to be an antagonist to Doctor Strange, but only because Doctor Strange breaks all the rules, and he's like a rule follower.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I thought that was just like a fun play on it. Like, when I realized that, oh my god, yes, they are going to fully lean into Wanda being the villain, I'm here for it. And that was great.
I thought, speaking of Mordo, that's right?
Mordo. Right?
I really liked it when, the scene when Doctor Strange and America got drugged.
Roofied?
Roofied? Yeah, well, they got the sands of Istanbul. I forget what it is. I'm sorry, I don't remember. But before then, when he was telling the tales about daywalking,
Yeah.
and the way that it was presented, there were like all these cool fade-ins where it was like they were fading into Wanda and she was rising up
Yeah.
in the music and like
Very, dare I say it, Sam Raimi.
yeah, Samurai, where it's just like fading and fades and
Yeah.
fades, and I just liked how that was being showcased with the music and the sick ass guitars. I thought that was a cool little moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. What else do we got? I thought there was one small thing. If you do rewatch the movie, there was this one funny moment where what's it called? Doctor Strange goes to the wedding and he sits down. So he goes there, he sits down.
And his hair is terrible.
Yeah, okay. So don't look at his hair. Look at the guy next to Doctor Strange. It's a gentleman, and he's sitting right next to Doctor Strange. He sees Doctor Strange, and he's like, "Oh my god,
Yeah,
it's Doctor
yeah.
Strange." Do you
Yeah.
see? Do you remember that moment?
Yes.
And then the other actor, he's like, "Hey, can I switch seats with you?" And he's like, "Oh man!" And then he switched seats with him. I just thought that was like a funny little like.
Yeah, and
I
just,
missed that.
Just another fun little moment to kind of show you the expansiveness of this MCU. It's like people know these. Luis, it was like you sat behind Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
I'm blanking
Simu
on his
Liu.
name. Yes, Simu Liu. And it's like that would be like that for those people in that wedding. It'd be like, holy shit, he's sitting
Yeah,
right
it's
next
cool.
to me.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool to kind of touch on that. I did think it was funny also that it seems like all of these Avengers have such egos. Did y'all notice he called himself the mightiest Avenger at one point in this movie?
Well,
Doctor Strange did?
He called.
Didn't he?
No. He was reading the plaque off of
No.
Strange
Oh,
838.
and he was repeating that. Oh,
He's
okay,
repeating it. Yeah, like the mightiest. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking when he was talking to the Illuminati, maybe. Yeah, at some point he says that. I see what you're saying.
He was
I thought
repeating
he
the
was just
plaque,
like,
yeah.
I'm the mightiest Avenger. And I was like, bitch, Thor is the mightiest Avenger. Okay.
Fucking right. Fucking right.
But I do think that now Wanda is dead. I think that could open the spell that she held on Agatha Hawkins. Harkins.
Obviously,
So
we're
I
going to
think,
see her storyline. That
so
makes
we're
me a
gonna-
little
we're
more
gonna see-
interested
'cause
in
we're gonna
her.
s- yeah, so we're gonna see Agatha come out, and she's also gonna be free from the Darkhold. The Darkhold was a real negative, like,
Nancy?
influence on her. What's that? What'd you say?
I said Nancy? Like negative Nancy?
Negative Nancy. Yeah, it's negative Nancy.
Oh,
So maybe
that
Agatha might be like this like anti-hero character when we see her come
100%.
back. You know what
They're
I mean?
setting up like a Dark Avengers, right? And she's going to
Yeah.
be one of
Oh,
them.
yeah, with like Moon Knight and
Well, isn't also like for Yelena, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, her character, she's setting up a Dark Avengers. And or I think they were also maybe doing that with General Ross. He was trying to also set up, but now they're going to probably pivot to her being the leader because he's unfortunately passed. But yeah.
I'm glad you put it eloquently.
If
I can't tell if you're being serious, okay?
No, because I was literally about to say it because he's dead.
He has passed.
He has passed. Thank you for putting it. Oh,
bro.
Evil Mini?
You guys, they just started doing Moon Knight, both Moon Knight and the Suave Moon Knight at Avengers Land in California.
Yeah.
I saw after this movie they introduced the Scarlet Witch walking around too.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. And I know they're doing it at Disneyland. If they do it at Disney World, I don't care. I'll go wherever. I cannot wait for Avengers World. Like, that is going to be so fun to walk through. More so than like Star Wars Land or whatever. Like, obviously I don't care about Star Wars, but I enjoy the idea of like living the lore. And I am so excited to walk through the Avengers campus or whatever.
Avengers campus, yeah.
Bring all of our movies to life. Like, I want to go to Godfather Town.
Godfather Town.
Fuck yes, Ed. That's called Little Italy. It's in New York.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, Kristen and I were talking about our 5-year anniversaries next year. We're talking about going to New York, and I've been doing research. Yeah, for like a fun little weekend. Oh. And I was doing some research, and yeah, like Little Italy definitely seems like a place I want to go to. I want to eat all the food. I want to take a mafia tour.
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll get back to Doctor Strange. I'm rambling.
No,
I was thinking if there was another person who could direct a third one, if it's not Sam Raimi because he ends up doing Spider-Man or whatever, Guillermo del Toro.
Oh man,
Think about that.
If they wanted to, I talked about this last week with Captain America. if they had wanted to do a spy thriller for Captain America and make that his genre, if they wanted to do that with Doctor Strange and like make him the horror genre,
like monster,
Guillermo del Toro would be phenomenal. Phenomenal. And the fact that you also get that like Sam Raimi is getting a redo. You know what I mean? He's getting another chance in these Marvel characters. Guillermo del Toro lost his Hellboy 3, but bring him into the fold because obviously he is a masterful director.
I mean, I think
people will come for that.
I think Sam Raimi will stay because he did such a good job
alone. Yes.
But Guillermo del Toro would be a second option. You know, like if he isn't available, they're going to keep Sam Raimi, I think. But I think that would be my second choice.
That was going to be my question. I was going to ask this earlier. I think I even wrote it down. Like, what do you guys think Sam Raimi would do in the MCU next if it's not Doctor Strange 3?
Oh, like what character?
Yeah, like whatever. Yeah.
Well, I know he was like talking about Spider-Man 4, right? Or something like that, or
I think I didn't hear
But
this.
that's for Tobey Maguire, no?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was an interview where he's like, it was never, I didn't think it was possible, but I feel like after doing this movie and knowing more about the multiverse, it seems like if they wanted to do a Spider-Man 4, I would be down. But not that I know what would happen, but it is interesting if that ever does occur, you know?
I will say very respectfully.
Like old man Spider-Man. Like old man Logan, you know?
I think that's a little on the nose for Sam Raimi. Maybe some people feel like if you're getting Sam Raimi, you might as well do Spider-Man because he was obviously the godfather of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I will say this in general, whatever he does, bringing him into the MCU is going to be one of the highlights.
Yeah. If he does like Midnight Suns with like all the dark forces like the Dark Avengers, you know what I mean? Like the Moon Knight, the Ghost Rider, the Doctor Strange, you know what I mean? All
Sam
of those
Raimi would be ready to go for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give Guillermo del Toro Doctor Strange 3.
Yeah.
And give Sam Raimi that. That's a really solid move. I did have one more question about Doctor Strange that I wrote down. Okay, so for me, I read a ton of rumors on this person, this person, this person, this person, this character is going to be in Doctor Strange, and most of them were not. Were there any cameos that you guys were expecting to see and you didn't see in Doctor Strange?
I didn't have my hopes up, I think, for who to show up. I was curious to see if Superior Iron Man was going to show up for Tom Cruise.
That's the one for me, for Tom Cruise, yeah.
And I know there's been leaks now, or like there's been word about how
they
was
were trying
brought
to
up in development, that they were like we try to get him, and then it didn't happen. But that would have been wild, especially I don't know.
Think about if John Krasinski's Reed Richards showed up, you would have been like, yeah, that makes sense because we've been talking about it. And then out of nowhere, Tom Cruise walks in as Iron Man. Whether it's this movie or in the future that they bring in an Iron Man, it's going to be a big moment because Robert Downey Jr. is not Iron Man anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was kind of hoping that was one of my biggest ones was like Tom Cruise coming into this would be solid.
I guess I don't know a whole lot about the Illuminati. I guess is that generally like a set crew, like the
He's
Avengers?
One of them.
Yeah, he's one of them. Like another one that's in there is like this guy named Namor. He's like the king of the sea. He's like our
we're
evil
not
version of Aquaman. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it was. I guess going into it, I did expect to see Xavier and Captain Peggy.
Marvel. No, Peggy.
Captain Carter.
Or the fucking choose a different rank. Where's Lieutenant Superstar or whatever?
Lieutenant Dan?
Oh, if he had wheeled on. But yeah, I guess I didn't have any further expectations. Like I was surprised to see John Krasinski, and
I can't believe he showed up. That's crazy.
I didn't know the other guy, like I said, and I'm annoyed that I've forgotten her name, but the actress who played the Captain Marvel, she was from No Time to Die,
right?
As well.
So is Monica Rambeau. That's it.
Yeah,
right, Monica.
It was cool to see her. That was a surprise. I didn't expect that either. So, Yeah, I guess I really
No,
wouldn't
not
have
Monica.
known who else they would have shown, to be honest. Beyond that.
So you mentioned
Mother.
Not Doctor Strange.
Maria
He was
Rambo.
he
Sorry,
was in the
everybody.
movie. But oh my god, I'm blanking. The fucking Nicolas Cage, Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
So that was one of the rumors I saw. So one of the things I saw. Sorry, I'm placing an order with Kristen. I'm telling her to order me some food. So before the movie came out, one of the like Reddit posts I saw was like a combo of actors that are rumored to be in the movie, and it
Right.
was like obviously Hugh Jackman, Charles Xavier, the original Mr. Fantastic from the 2004 movie.
Really?
Ian Griffith.
Yeah, Ghost Rider, Nicolas Cage, Superior Iron Man with Tom Cruise. And in fact, when the first trailer for this movie came out, a lot of people were assuming that Captain Marvel was the Superior Iron Man because he
Right.
wears a very similar mask or whatever. And the fact that like Superior Iron Man comes with Infinity Stones. We saw that in What If with Ultron. You know what I mean? It would have been an interesting moment. So those Iron Man especially and Ghost Rider were a couple of characters that I thought may be like surprise cameos.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with what we got. They were good.
It was good. I'm glad to rewatch it. You know, yeah, I got this pin.
Oh man,
Pretty cool.
I'm sorry. I want to wrap up with one quick thought for me. I loved the fact that we're talking about this movie as a horror genre movie. Scarlet Witch especially had very like horror movie moments. When I think about Scarlet Witch, one of the things that I wish they would have done more of, and then I'm glad they did it in this movie, was the very first time you see Wanda Maximoff is in Avengers Age of Ultron, which we did not put in our top 10, but it is
Right.
like one of my secret top 10s. I don't want to admit that. But her coming in that movie, Judd Apatow, Joss Whedon really played her as kind of like a scary character. I mean, there were definitely moments where she disappears into the door and she does the witch thing with Iron Man. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they never really touch on that again. And so the fact that they brought this element to her again with this movie, for me personally, was a win. I mean, because she can be very scary, and I appreciated that they she lived up to her potential.
Yeah. I know we keep saying one more thing. I do have one more thing, and it'll be my.
We're going long. We're going long. It's a two-parter.
But listen, I think there's this theme that I've caught. It is a Marvel lore theme. There is a lot of being tempted by evil. Okay, the dark hold. It's almost this thing that corrupts and takes hold of someone taking advantage of your weakness. And in Shang-Chi, there was the evil dragon, the quote unquote dweller in the darkness, who was tempting Wenwu to say, unleash me, I'm your wife or whatever. And it was all these lies taking advantage of this vulnerability. I think even in Thor Ragnarok, when we see the new villain Gore the Butcher, I think he takes on a weapon called the Necro Sword, which is like basically pure evil. And I'm sure he'll get tempted and corrupted, and so there's just going to be this whole thing of temptation. And who knows? Maybe we'll finally see Mephisto at some point. I don't know. It's the ongoing joke. When will we see Mephisto? When will we see Mephisto? But that was
a lot of words.
A lot of words you don't know.
When they started the movie going, there's a demon chasing us, I went, oh my god, they're doing it. It's Mephisto. Let's fucking go. And then the fact that it was Wanda was even better for me. I was like, of course it's her.
Totally.
Of course she's chasing. And of course the justification is so raw and real.
Yeah.
90% of this movie I loved.
Yeah.
How many? 90%?
It's like 9 out of 10.
90% Rotten Miguel's.
The Illuma Whatty?
Zombie Miguel's.
Yeah.
No.
All right. Let's speed through this last dessert section. You know what I mean? Let's get the check. You know what I mean? But we still want dessert. We're going to talk about what we're into. What have we been watching? We can spit these bad boys real quick. Miguel, what have you been into this week?
Okay, I've got two things, and I'm gonna real quick talk about the first one.
Excuse me, Ed just left the podcast. Did you see?
What just happened? Is he okay?
Oh no, I guess he's fine. Maybe he had to go to the
Shout out.
bathroom.
Let me tell you this. Ed is not watching the two things that I'm watching, so Luis, you and I can talk about him. Okay.
Okay, great, wonderful. Go for it.
All right. First off, Luis, this is for you. You asked me to tell you. I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
We're already a couple episodes in, but we are watching season 4 of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
All right, I'm gonna jump on it.
Amazon Prime.
Jump on.
And you guys, I love the arc for me. You know what I mean? I hated this show when we first started.
Now you love it.
And now I'm like, let's put on a Miss Maisel. Fuck.
Ooh.
I mean, it's so good. It's honestly, I was such a non-fan of Amazon Prime TV
Video.
or whatever. Yeah. Like their TV shows, I'm just like, this is not for me. I'm not really into their product. But man, every single character has only gotten better on Miss Maisel. From her herself to her family to her manager to the side characters. You haven't seen season 4 yet, but a character just died, and it's like I felt something when this character died. You know what I mean?
Oh no, that's really sad. Okay,
but I won't say who. You know what I mean? I won't say who.
I'll have to keep
but
up.
no, I will say this for them ending. I'm excited because Kristen has watched all the way through season 4, so we're gonna do. We're finishing this one, and then season 5 is about to come out. And that's going to be the finale season. So I am excited to kind
season
of...
5 hasn't released yet. It's like coming out.
Correct. No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah. They're working on it. So I'm excited to kind of like wrap this series up kind of live in the moment because I have become a fan. Ed, I'm talking about Marvelous Miss Maisel on Amazon Prime.
I figured as much.
And listen, I think you and
Was
Sarah...
it marvelous?
I think you and Sarah would like this show. Okay? So give it a shot. And maybe we can all talk about it. Okay, but this is the show. This the second one I want to talk about that we're watching right now. This is again. Listen, I'm not like a pushover with my wife, but I have pushed a lot of my media onto her.
Absolutely.
And so I'm trying to give her these moments where, okay, I'm also watching the thing you want to watch. She got me. This is the same way she got me with Marvelous Miss Maisel. Excuse me. She was watching it already, and I watched, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And eventually I was like, well, I want to see what's happening. And then we started the show.
Yeah.
She's been rewatching for a nostalgia trip for her because she watched it when it aired. Degrassi, The Next Generation.
I can't believe it.
Bro, I don't know if you guys know this. Degrassi, it's the Canadian show. It's like a high school drama.
It's with Drake.
Drake was on it before he became Drake. You know what I mean? So I was not into this show at all. I was like rolling my eyes every time she turned it on because she's kind of like with Grey's Anatomy. She'll like put something on through the workday at home, and she'll get through like a whole season in a couple of days. So I was already like way behind, and I kept telling her all I want to see is the episode where Ed. Do you know about Degrassi?
I really don't.
That's okay. Do you know that Drake is on it?
I do now because I listen to you guys.
That means you don't know what's about to happen with Drake. Drake gets shot in a school shooting, and Ed, and he ends up being paralyzed. He's in a wheelchair for the rest of his arc on that show. And I told Kristen, all I want to do is watch that episode because it's like the biggest like pop culture moment. But then we started it over, and I'm like falling in love with this show because for me personally, it's such a nostalgic, like put it in my veins. You know what I mean? Nostalgia. Like it's childhood. That's my childhood. It's like before cell phones really, you know what I mean? It's just like what I remember being a kid, the fashion, the friends, the drama of like growing up. This is really capturing that moment for me. And so I started watching it thinking I was going to shit all over it. And actually I'm like, I can't believe what fucking Paige did this episode. That bitch Paige. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, fucking what's Sean up to? I can tell you all these goddamn character names. And I will say this, throw it on for a laugh. Like just watch the first season for a couple of episodes and you will either be into it or you won't.
What's it on?
It's on HBO Max right now, so you can watch it in full. I don't think we're gonna watch the entire show, but I
Who
want to
knows?
watch
You
it.
might.
I mean, bro, let me tell you, after Drake leaves, I might be like, fuck Drake, run it again. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys remember, Drake did a song called I'm Upset a few years back, and the music video was a high school reunion where it was the entire cast of Degrassi getting together.
Oh, wow.
And he like shot it at the school. They were like playing off of bits from the show and this and that. And no, I am not embarrassed to say I'm fucking watching the show. I have the theme song running through my head during my dreams and shit. Like I'll wake up and be like, I know I can make it through. You know what I mean? Like,
That's when you know you're into shows, when it becomes in your
Too much.
dreams. You know what I mean?
bro. And I'm playing the Hitman games right now too. And so I'm getting like this weird amalgam of like Degrassi and Hitman, and I'm like a Hitman. Also, I wanted to mention Euphoria is such a hot show right now on HBO, where it's also like a high school drama. And it's just like Degrassi was the Euphoria of its day. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
So give it a shot.
Give it a shot. Check it out. HBO Max. We love HBO Max. Please sponsor us.
Please.
Ed,
already.
looks like you got this. I'm interested in what you got to say about this thing.
Fuck all is what I've got. So
What?
as you go, I said fuck all is all I got. I really didn't get into anything really new this last week. Coming off of the Marvel movies, I just watched. So obviously it was Mother's Day weekend, which means I don't get to choose nothing. And so Sarah was looking for something. I can't remember the name of it. It was a movie she wanted to watch. We couldn't find it. We came across BioDome.
Oh.
With Pauly Shore and Stephen Baldwin.
You
How
know, does it hold up?
Hold up is a word.
Do you like Pauly Shore?
I don't have much experience with Pauly Shore, but after this, I don't want any more.
You're not.
He
He doesn't have a lot of
movie.
range.
Doesn't have much of fucking anything. This movie just felt
He was
like
good in the Goofy movie.
I haven't seen that.
Wait, have you really not seen the Goofy movie?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so Luis, you'll
because it
watch
came
Saving
become-
Private Ryan. I'll watch
I'll Saving
Everything
Private
Everywhere
Ryan.
All at Once.
You
Ed
watch
can
the
watch
Goofy movie.
The Goofy movie.
I've got to watch the Truman Show. You guys got to pick which
That's
one.
true.
It's a double feature, bro.
The Goofy movie's short enough. You can fit both of them. And besides, you like watching 3-hour movies anyway.
I tell you what,
it'll
Ed,
fit in your time
I'll watch that fucking mouse movie, and you watch the Goofy movie. Okay?
The Mouse Detective?
Yes.
Oh, that's a
Yay.
good movie.
It's not.
Thank you, Louise.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, man, this was just one of those movies where I really wish I was dead.
Oh my god.
I was just like,
It's a style of comedy, though. You know what I mean? It's not.
You could
it's
call
not
it
mainstream anymore.
you could try
know?
and call it that. It just felt like I was watching Stephen Baldwin and Pauly Shore. It's not even a stoner comedy because they don't ever reference. They're just idiots.
Yeah.
And they're kind of dicks. And they're just like idiotic dicks. This movie was like an hour or so too long.
How long is it?
It can't be more than an hour and a half. But it felt like it went on forever. It wasn't funny. It was just so awful. Because like those two are just giggling to each other the whole fucking movie, and not even in like a clever or funny way. It's just like.
Did you like the movie Dumb and Dumber?
If you're about to compare those two movies,
those aren't the same movies, though.
Those are not the same movies whatsoever.
I will say, I mean, just like idiots. You know what I mean?
So
90s,
you don't like Dumb and
90s
Dumber?
Yeah, but those are different
this is
idiots. I will
vastly
say,
different
BioDome and
humor.
Dumb and Dumber are.
I'm sorry,
different.
those are vastly.
I'm just
like
trying to
those
generate
actually
conversation. Don't attack me, okay?
Those.
This is
I was
content.
like, there was like a point to Dumb and Dumber at least, but like I felt like this one, like, fuck, they just dragged it out.
You know what it makes me want?
It's excruciating. But Sarah told me to watch. I think the next one
The Caveman.
we'll try and watch is Son-in-Law.
Oh.
Does that ring a bell?
That's a name that sounds familiar. I'm blanking
And
on
apparently, according to a few people, it's like one of Pauly Shore's better movies.
He's got like a Jerry curl or something in that poster. Sorry, that's
maybe.
for me.
Yeah, I haven't seen Son-in-Law. I've seen Encino Man. But I haven't seen
remember
Son-in-Law.
somebody trying to show me Encino Man back in high school. I turned it off.
Brendan Fraser's in that.
Yeah, and I turned him off.
Ed,
I preferred George of the Jungle.
Ask Sarah to make like a list of movies, and we should all do like a Sarah episode. You know what I mean?
That's good.
Sarah Meyer, early 90s episode where we just watch all the content.
All right.
You write that down. Write that down.
She's taken me through quite a journey because of her.
Sorry,
what?
go ahead. I was going to say, you didn't like Grandma's Boy, right?
No, I thought that was stupid.
Oh, you didn't like Grandma's Boy? I thought that was... That's such a funny movie, I think.
Yeah.
You got to get super high.
Maybe I just missed it. Maybe I just missed it.
You got to get super high and watch that
If you
movie.
think that Sarah and I weren't, then... it's like,
and that's the guy in Avatar. Can you believe it?
I know. What?
The guy from Grandma's Boy?
The guy from Grandma... The robot, the guy in the black trench coat, who's like the game designer.
Yeah, the dorky one, and he's like the nerdy one in Avatar who...
yes, he's the tall, lanky guy.
He's jealous of Jake Sully at first.
Okay.
That's why I couldn't take him seriously in that movie of Avatar, because I kept thinking of him in Grandma's Boy. Yeah, I was like, that's the dude in Grandma's Boy.
I was thinking
he's like a badass in that. Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Nick Swardson, and I was like, "Who the fuck is Nick Swardson?"
No,
he was blue. He was blue. You
didn't see him. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Sarah. I mean, because of Sarah, I saw movies like Dirty Dancing, which I love. That's a fucking masterpiece. Is that movie? Top Gun. Footloose. The Julia Roberts one where she wasn't the runaway bride, but she was her best friend's wedding.
Best friend's wedding, yeah.
But she was like a psychopath. So, she's... I've had some highs and lows. This was definitely one of the lowest, if not the lowest.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm going to mention that to Sarah. She'll whip up a list right quick.
Don't even mention it. She's listening.
She also tried to show me this one.
Festival.
She tried to show me one about you guys are familiar with horse diving, where they ride a horse. It was like an old carnival kind of show where like they would ride a horse up a ramp to a diving board and then jump into a pool.
Absolutely not. I've never heard of anything like that.
You're on drugs right now.
No, it's a real thing. This is an American thing. What's more,
don't put that on us. No,
it's definitely an American thing. And anyway, there's like a 90s Disney movie that was based about that. She wanted to watch that because we had just watched the Kentucky Derby. And she showed me a trailer for it, and I was like, no. And that's what led to BioDome. So I really was the winner that night. But yeah, there's some questionable...
Yeah, tell her to make a list. And if anything, we'll do a poll, okay? We'll ask the audiences, you know what I mean?
Was it called Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken?
Yes.
Movie?
Fuck my shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me write that down. Fuck
it's based on a girl and 5 brave horses. So there you go.
Yeah, because 5 horses died in the making of that movie, probably.
All right. So I'm gonna talk about what I've been into. Yeah, what have I been into? So I got a couple things. One, I'll tell you what. I'll try to speed through these like the Flash. Okay, so
Makari from Eternals.
Oh, Makari from Eternals. Yeah, or Quicksilver. R.I.P. So I went into and I saw Doctor Strange, and I saw it at Dolby Vision or Dolby Cinema. And then I saw it in IMAX, so I saw it both ways.
Wow.
And
You dirty
because
boy.
I saw it by myself, and then I saw it with Sarah at the IMAX. I can have a whole conversation about theater experiences on another day. But I saw Top Gun in the IMAX screen, and I had no intention of seeing Top Gun in the
Luis.
movie. But then after watching the trailer in IMAX,
Yes.
I was like,
yes.
oh my God. Like, I was like
Bro.
psyched, ready to go. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to watch. And if this movie is filled with dogfighting like that, I'm in.
Yes.
Like, I don't.
Dude,
I don't really
I've been thinking about this since they first showed a trailer for Top Gun Maverick like 5 years ago. COVID really sucked up a lot of things. But I'm supposed to go back to Texas in the summer and see my family and yada yada yada. I want to take my dad to see this movie so
that's
hard.
fun. Yeah.
Dude, I think we would have a great time.
This is definitely a movie to
so
see
cool.
in the IMAX.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes. Ed, theaters are not dead, okay? Tom Cruise is still putting out movies, okay?
It's nice of you to acknowledge as much.
I will say,
I'm trying.
it's interesting because, whatever. I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I am, and I will always talk about it. But the Dolby Cinema, their sound, the way that they do sound is so spatial and around you. It's amazing. Yes. But the IMAX screen is just top to bottom. If the film is made for IMAX, you got to do it. But the sound is not as good as the Dolby Cinema. I will say,
as long as it's
you got to mix it. If there was a way to have Dolby sound with an IMAX screen, boy,
Dolby Max.
Dolby Max. Give me Dolby Max.
Yeah,
bro, that's it. Give us 10%. Punch Drunk Nerd. We came up with that. Shout out.
Dolby Max. Thank you, AMC. Thank you, IMAX.
I want. Because it was really cool. At least the dogfighting. So I'm down to watch that. We're gonna say it.
So you saw the original Top Gun on IMAX?
Man, no. I saw
the trailer.
The trailer, because like if you watch Doctor Strange,
Doctor Strange. I'm sorry.
You get that exclusive view of
I fucking did not like the first Top Gun, but I'm on board for Maverick because the dogfights look so intense.
That's what I mean. The dogfights look intense, and the editing looks really good for that.
What I read about this movie is that like Top Gun, the original, at the time was doing things you didn't see movies do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sure.
And now we are just like prime and ready for like a redo. The only thing that I'm worried about is what a lot of like legacy sequels fall into is them just like rehashing the plot of the first movie.
I hate that so much. Yeah.
I would love it if that is not the case for this movie. You know what I mean? I love the aspect of what's his name playing Goose's son. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Miles Teller.
No, and I don't want to get into it too much because I know this is Luis's time, but I am absolutely here for it. If we don't want to do it for the podcast or whatever, like Luis, if you want to go see it and I go see it and we talk about it, I'm here for it. Okay.
Ed's not gonna see it.
Not me though.
Well, Ed, I'd be happy to hear your opinion, but you just said you didn't like the original Top Gun movie.
I didn't like the original, but I said I was on board for Maverick.
You guys want to do an episode? Let's do an episode. Let's do our favorite like
Top
Army,
Gun,
like
top 5 Top Gun 1 and 2. No, okay.
Bro. No, because Ed knows this. Last year I watched the Owen Wilson movie Behind Enemy Lines.
Oh wow.
I watched it like twice. This was my Eternals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the sense that I couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah.
So no, I'm all here. I'm all here for Top Gun Maverick.
We're here for Top Gun. And then I also watched season 2 of Russian Doll on Netflix. I watched season 1. I really like Natasha Lyonne. And so I was excited. You know what? After the season 1, I was like, done. We don't need any more. We did it. And so when season 2 came out, I just couldn't resist Natasha. So I watched it again, and you know what? Same thing. She does her performance is fun. You know, I love what she does with it, and she is where are my notes? You know, the star is her as a character, and the way she's able to switch to vulnerability is amazing. She has these fun asides to herself, but the way that she talks to herself sometimes and kind of like self monologues, I think is hilarious. I think some people can think of her doing it too much and then like whatever. But I like it. It's cool. It's also different too from the last season. I was like, how can you make it different? Because the last season, it was like her repeating the same day over and over again. And it was kind of a mystery. Second season, it's not really a mystery this time. In the first season, she's kind of trying to escape from it. The second season, she's not trying to escape from it. She's going deeper
like embracing
into
it.
Yeah, embracing this issue. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but it becomes obvious right away what's happening, and she kind of dives into it to kind of course correct her life a little bit. I had a fun time. I think it got a little bit heavy-headed at the end where it kind of tripped itself up. But, I think it does have a message. I think it has some great moments. And in the end, life is kind of messy. And so just appreciate what you got is kind of like the thing. So Russian Doll, check it out if you want. And it's, 7 episodes that are 30 minutes long?
I will say, Kristen,
it's really great to like consume because they're not that long episodes. Yeah.
I will say, my wife Kristen, she watched the first season, and just recently, before the season 2 came out, they released a trailer on YouTube or whatever, and I could not believe that we were only in season 2 because it feels like so long ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
You know what I mean? But shout out to Netflix, who is like very into canceling shows immediately. The fact that they like kept that going even through
I was
COVID,
surprised
you know
that they kept it that they kept it going because they do cancel shows when they shouldn't get canceled, but
On
like
a side note,
one day at a time.
What's that show? Frankie and someone.
Frankie and
Frankie. I don't know.
No, you're talking about with Lily Tomlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frankie. Oh man,
Grace and Frankie.
Sarah watches that show.
Grace and Frankie.
They
just entered their 7th season.
Wait,
and you're like 7.
I remember watching that show. I remember Sarah watching it and I liked it.
Netflix cancels shows like they just wake up and they go cancel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
I'm happy that they do have a show like Grace and Frankie though. That's a good to have like
I'm sure they
not
love it
young
too.
people, you know what I mean, in the
Yeah.
show. I think it's good to showcase like, hey man, we can have older people play roles. And then my last thing that I got into was I'm not usually into this stuff. I don't know why, but it's this podcast called Batman Unburied. I love Batman. I don't know why I say I'm not into it, but because Joe Rogan, he is like number 1 on Spotify podcast. Sorry, I'm leaving this up. He's the number 1 Spotify podcast, and so Batman Unburied knocked him down. This became the number 1 podcast, Batman Unburied. And so I heard this and I was like, what the fuck? And so I listened to it. Currently there are 4 episodes available only on Spotify. It's an exclusive podcast on Spotify. And it's written or show led by David S. Goyer. You know him. He helped co-write some Batman movies.
Blade. Yep.
And so I'm listening to that right now, and it's a thing.
Is it good?
I think it's okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep listening to it. I don't really know. I really don't want to spoil too much about it because they throw a lot of curveballs. I will say you're going into it and you're like, what the fuck?
Okay.
So they are doing something different. It's a mystery. It's a murder mystery, and I think podcasts do well with murder mysteries, and so it kind of does a narrative about that using Batman as a vehicle. The villain is called the Harvester, and it's a guy who kills people and takes organs. And we see Bruce Wayne in a very different light. And then we also see the Riddler as well come into play with Barbara Gordon. I can get into it more if you want, but that's kind of it. And
Is
as
it
you
a
listen,
cast of characters
what do you
reading,
mean?
or
Okay.
is it a voice cast, or how is it?
I mean it's a voice cast, M'Baku from Black Panther, the guy who plays. So he plays Batman, Winston Duke. He does his voice, and it's a bunch of people who are doing different voices. It's a little, it definitely leans towards radio shows.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like radio mysteries.
Radio mysteries, and it does not very natural, so it's kind of theatrical in that way. So if that's your thing, check it out. 4 episodes. Each episode is 30 to 40 minutes long. So, Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it. You said.
I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to add it. But you're talking about all this like, podcast version of Batman. When I was like in middle school and high school, I went down like this rabbit hole of like fan film Batman stuff.
I do know what you're talking about. I feel like we've watched a similar one.
We don't have to get into it right now because we're going long, but afterwards, personally, I'm going to be sharing several videos with you guys, so get ready for it, okay?
Send it to me, because I remember watching one and I was like, holy shit, this looks so cool. And this was a fan-made Batman movie, like Batman short. Like it was like in the rain, he was fighting somebody.
I'm blanking on the guy's name that directed a couple of these, but I mean, I remember being so into him. He was one of the first people I read a review of like Batman Begins before I saw that movie. You know what I mean? So, but no,
Do you remember? This is completely left field, but they did this Batman versus Darth Vader video. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes, bro, I do, and I will 100% be doing like we should do like a compilation of these that we should watch or whatever. Okay, so we'll chat about it.
Well, if you out there, if you have any funny Batman videos to share with us at Punch Drunk Nerd. That's all we've got this week, but we've got more coming up next week. We ain't stopping. This train is rolling on, okay? My name is Luis Gonzalez, and I've had the pleasure of being with
Miguel Sanchez
and Deadpool.
That's right. And so until next time, ladies and gentlemen, later Gators.
Later Gators.